One to go. Good afternoon, I'm Jim McKay, speaking to you from Inverness. It's going to be a long afternoon, so I hope you're comfortable and all set to stay with us. It should be most exciting as the final round of play proceeds. Hale Irwin, as we said, trying to regain the title that he won 5 years ago at Winged Foot back in 1974. We'll be following that final pair all the way around, from the first shot they hit on the first hole to the last putt they make on the final hole. When it's all over, or when they will continue to a playoff tomorrow, should that eventuate, of course, we would also be here for that. As for the weather today, well, the wind is up again. It's going to be very much of a factor. There are clouds. There is some chance of rain at the moment. It doesn't look too bad. We hope that it will hold off. Right now, why don't we take a look at the golf course that we're discussing here at Inverness, hosting the Open for the fourth time. Now, the holes in light green that go around the perimeter of the golf course are the front 9. The ones in red are the back 9. As you see, they go back and forth, actually back and forth across a rather deep ravine and into the wind and downwind. That long trek home is really going to be something later on this afternoon. Is it a long golf course? Well, it'll play even longer with the wind, of course, but it's long enough already. It's just under 7,000 yards, as you can see. Par 35 going out, 36 coming back in for a total of 71. And how does that break down? Well, let's break it down a little more for you. Here is a look at the front 9. As you see, there are 2 par 3s and just 1 par 5 for that total of 35. As for the backside, it's slightly different, just 1 par 3 and 1 par 5. As we said yesterday, a little bit unusual for the Open Championship, for a total of 36 and the grand total, as we say, par 71. Well, right now, why don't we bring in our resident expert on the sport of golf, former PGA champion Dave Marr, who played here back in 1957. He was celebrating his 12th birthday at the time and one of the youngest competitors ever. Dave, it's good to have you with us, as always. We have a confrontation here between 2 of the best golfers on tour. Former British Open champion Tom Weiskopf, former U.S. Open champion Hale Irwin. Is this going to favor either of their games, the high wind here?
Jim, they're both, as you pointed out, very good players. I mean, Tom and Hale, both for the last 10 years, have been 2 of our best players. And part of being a great player is the adaptability. I don't think it favors either one. They've both won major championships. If I had to lean toward one, maybe toward Hale, because at Winged Foot, you had the same sort of greens that you have here. Small greens, a lot of hills. The important thing here is the speed.
And the tougher the golf courses are, the better he seems to like them, although the open courses are always difficult. Certainly Winged Foot and Inverness would be 2 of the toughest.
Absolutely. When you play the old courses and the small targets and the deep rough, though it's not as deep here as it was at Winged Foot, you get the conditions. Hale Irwin is a very, very hard competitor. Weiskopf, on the other hand, hasn't played well this year. Discovered he had an ulcer. I don't know which came first, the ulcer or the bad putting stroke. Yesterday he seems to have found his putting touch. And can Tom play well enough, though, to put some heat on Hale? Even though he putted well, I mean, you have 10 putts on the front 9, you can't look to do that again today.
Well, Tom has what you might call the home court advantage. After all, this is his home state. He went to Ohio State. He was born in Massillon, saw his first U.S. Open, I believe, right on this golf course. He's got all that, and that is something, the psychological aspect. On the other hand, doesn't he hit a much taller, higher ball than Hale? Would that affect him at all in the wind?
Well, it could, but if he hit the ball solid, the wind's not going to affect it as much, Jim, and he can use a lot of irons there. He's the stronger of the 2 players, so he can gear down maybe a little more than Hale. And Hale, to me, is a surprising guy. He's a cool customer. Last night we were at a barbecue together, and he was there with Sally and his 2 kids, and I'm going over to breakfast this morning. There he is teaching his little girl about swimming in the pool at 9 o'clock this morning. Now, that's a long time to wait around and go out and play. You can see marking his ball there, which I want to say to the fans is a good idea whenever you go to play. Put a mark on it so you can identify that that is your ball.
And, of course, this is a live picture right now. A little bit earlier, our man on the fairways, Bill Fleming, talked to Hale. He asked him, what does the U.S. Open really mean?
To me, Bill, the professional golf, or golf in general, is the U.S. Open. I believe in what it stands for. I believe in the difficulty of the courses. I believe in all those things. And there's great arguments, pro and con, whether we should have rough as deep as we do, greens as fast, this or that. And I don't particularly am a follower of that. I am a believer in par being a good score. I guess you can say I'm a traditionalist in a way. And when they started the game, a par was what it took to get from the tee to the hole. And right now we've got last week's score, 23 under par. Those are phenomenal scores. And sure, our players are fantastic. And the courses we're developing our skills to the point where we can handle most all courses now. that's why I like the trend back to these kinds of difficult courses, getting back to where par is something to be proud of.
That was Hale Irwin just an hour or two ago, and here's the live picture of Tom Weiskopf. The question that Bill asked him was slightly different. What would it mean to you, Tom, in your home state to finally win the Open?
To win an Open would mean an awful lot to me because it's the first golf tournament I ever saw, Bill. My father took me to this Open Championship when I was 15 years old, and that was the year I started playing golf. And I was in the gallery applauding all the great players and watching those people walk around, you know, the Sneeds and the Bolts and the Demers.
Where was it, Tom?
Right here at Inverness.
At Inverness.
First tournament I ever saw, and I thought these guys were gods. I mean, I never could conceive of somebody driving the ball prodigious distances and straight, you know, and the finesse they had. And, of course, you know, to a little kid 15 years old that could barely break 90, I thought, well, you know, that's just the greatest thing in the world if I could do that, what they're doing someday. And that's why I think it would mean an awful lot to me because Ohio has given me it's the birthplace of my golf, and it's where I learned to play. We have some great courses in this state, and I think it is a deserving place to play a championship, and I just hope that maybe I'll be fortunate enough to win the championship here.
Well, maybe a good many of you have never seen exactly what happens on the first tee. You saw one thing there, as Dave said, a very interesting and important thing, Hale Irwin putting a special mark on his ball. It's not enough to see the name. Here's John Loppheimer of the USGA.
Will be Frank D. Tatum, Jr., President of the United States Golf Association from San Francisco, California. The observer is Gordon H. Ewan, a member of the United States Golf Association Executive Committee from Winnetka, Illinois. Now on the tee, Tom Weiskopf, play away, please.
Well, that makes it official. John Loppheimer making the announcement to the crowd gathered around the first tee. This a par 4 hole, reasonably short. You drive to a plateau that if you drive it too far, drops off a precipice almost. 398 yards is the distance of the hole. Kind of a crosswind from right to left, I think, Dave.
Good starting hole. It might not use a driver here. Some of the players go off in the 3-wood because just to keep it in the fairway. It's down the right. Didn't look like the wind got that.
Nope, but some of the rough did.
Hale
Bob
Irwin,
Rosberg, can you see that?
Well, it hit somebody in the gallery and stopped it just absolutely dead cold, but in the rough with it is trampled down.
Okay. Now, Hale Irwin. You can follow this one for us, if you will, Bob. Bob Rosberg, of course, another former PGA champion, is out on the fairways, as Bill Fleming will be, and Hollis Stacy, the current and two-time U.S. Women's Open champion. Hale Irwin now.
Ball looks a little right. Catches the fairway, though.
Yep.
Perfect.
As you said, on the right side of the fairway. Tom Weiskopf, then, the one in trouble in this final group. And remember, he trails Hale Irwin by 3 shots. He can't afford early mistakes.
No, he's got to put some pressure on him, as the other players do. We didn't mention, like Jerry Pate, I still think has an outside chance. And, of course, Tom Purtzer's got to get off to a little better start today. And look at Lee Elder getting back in there. Larry Nelson, David Graham.
Okay, let's meet 2 of our other commentators here from across the sea. Peter Allis, 5-time member of the British Ryder Cup team, and Frank Hannigan of the USGA. Let's have a word from them.
Well, we're into the last day of this year's championship, and I, for one, am looking forward to what may well be the classic golfing confrontation of 1979. Hale Irwin, one of the very best golfers in the world today, against the perhaps unfulfilled but majestic striking Tom Weiskopf, playing in front of his home fans in his home state. One danger, I think, might be for them that they could get into a classic match play situation, and one of the many good players lurking a few strokes behind may just creep in and steal the title. Well, with me today is Frank Hannigan of the USGA, and Frank, it's very noticeable for we observers that on the first day we had nobody breaking 70. On the second day, 3 players managed that, and yesterday 9 did. Now, what devilish plans have you lads cooked up overnight?
Well, Peter, if you see somebody break 70 today, you will have seen a very, very important round of golf. Yesterday, the course was set up very soft. The expectation was that there would be high wind. We saw some great shots and some very low scores. Today, they had a lot of hole locations that they've been planning to use throughout the week that they hadn't had a chance to use. You'll see them today. Places like on the 3rd and the 5th. You'll really warm your heart. If your heart is warmed by balls going into water hazards.
Well, we've got some freshening breeze as well, so I think this is going to be the most difficult day. I think it's going to be a fascinating day, and I hope you'll be with us.
Tom Purtzer on the first hole. This for a birdie, we are told.
There you go.
Must have had a great second shot. And that brings him back to even par. 4 shots out of the lead. Tom Purtzer, who was tied for the lead overnight on Friday, 3 shots ahead of this man, Hale Irwin. He was tied with Larry Nelson at the time. Both of them fell back yesterday. Nelson fell back further than Purtzer. Purtzer still very much a contender, particularly with that birdie on the first hole.
Well, I talked to him last night, Jim, and he just felt like if he could just pull his game together, he'd gotten a bad round out of the way, and you don't know in a U.S. Open what may happen, especially as windy as it is. No matter how good a player Hale is or Tom is, anything can happen.
Okay. There's a look at that hill that drops straight off the fairway there as you come down to a lower level, but then up again to the green. It's very much an elevated green. Bob?
Tom has caught an absolutely perfect lie. It's just the kind of a break you really need after hitting a tee shot like he did. He's got a very dry lie, the kind that you can pinch it off of, and with the flag fairly close to the front and on the left, he's got a good angle to come in from, and he will be able to put something on this ball coming out of the rough.
About how long a shot, Rossi?
Both of them are about 145 yards. In fact, I don't think they have decided who's away yet. It's very, very close. Both drives are reasonably short. Of course, I don't know if Hale went off of there with a driver or with a 3-wood, but Tom's ball hit somebody in the gallery on the fly and stopped dead. Tom will be shooting first.
When Bob says you can pinch that ball, Dave, why don't you explain that a little further for us?
Well, actually, that's bare ground, and you don't have the usual rough or grass around it. You can catch the ball cleanly, and with the firm ground, you can get a lot more spin on a lie like this than you can out of a fairway or, of course, any kind of rough.
Got it going right at the middle of the green. Beautiful shot. And
yeah, a little short. Short.
Just isn't up. I'll tell you, he hit it. In fact, I believe what happened is that he thought it might fly a little, and it just didn't. It came out just like this. Came off of bare dirt.
Looks like it's about 10 yards short of the green in some medium tall rough. So now here, Irwin will check the wind again, having witnessed that shot by Weiskopf.
Well, with that flag so near the front of the green, Jim, Tom left himself, even though you don't want to get above the holes here at Inverness, it's now he doesn't have much green to work with unless he comes up with a good lie short of the green.
All right. Now Irwin will hit across the abyss into the elevated green. It's just a little bit higher than where he stands now.
Out to the right.
See if it comes back. All right. Well, putting surface, but a long way from the hole. And so they have almost reached the green on the first hole, the 2 leaders. We'll be right back, live at Inverness.
Tom Weiskopf short of the first green. 3rd shot, and what a difficult one. Played it very well indeed. He might, if he had another 3 or 4 goes, have got it half as close again, but well played. That's facing a 5. We go ahead to the 2nd hole. Tom Purtzer, who started with a very nice 3 on the first hole to get back to level par. 2nd shot, this hole, 385 yards. And he's safely on the putting surface.
Tom was in some deep rough there, and he looked like he hit that.
That's how they stand, and this is the final match. Hale Irwin and Tom Weiskopf. And what a battle this really does promise to be. Very important, of course, for Irwin to make a good start. A lot of those in reasonable contention have not made a good start, so he's not really been pressurized early on by players, shall we say, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 strokes behind him. But very important for him to start with a 2-putt here. It's a very fine putt indeed. Just leaves him one of those rather horrid ones on the first green when the nerve ends are a little raw, but a good first putt from a long way away. The opening holes here, certainly on paper, look rather kind. Distance-wise, length-wise, 398 yards, 385 yards, and then a short hole, 185. But time and time again we've seen strokes dropped, sometimes unluckily, sometimes quite wildly. That's the temperature. The wind, you can see, has dropped considerably. It was very strong early on. Rather heavy and muggy. Sniff of thunder about, but we hope that won't appear. Now, Weiskopf. Well, he holed seemingly dozens of these yesterday, and this could set the tempo for him for the round. Because it's quite a long way away. This for a 4. And unlucky. That'll be a 5 for Weiskopf. Not a bad 5, if you get my meaning. The drive was a bit wayward, but the second might have been a little bit misjudged. Not a bad chip. Good looking putt, but it's a shot gone. Opening hole, drops a shot. Not happy. Now Irwin faced with a very important one for him. Needs to get a few pars under his belt. He's 3 strokes ahead. Nobody's really charging at him. Oh, yes. Just a little bit off centre, but that's a very good 4 indeed. Now to the second. Tom Pertzer, who played a splendid second shot at the first hole to about 5 or 6 feet, got his birdie on the second, playing 3. Good speed. How about that? Well, well, well. Having hardly finished saying nobody's making a really full-blooded run, Pertzer, who has had some very adventurous golf over the last 3 days, opens up 3-3 and is now 1 under. Let's have a look at that one again, and you get the feel of it when the putt's about halfway down, that the speed looks good. If you start looking from ball to hole and judging how it's going to start, and right in the middle. And what a start for Pertzer. 3-3. And Weiskopf just tapped in that putt of 8 or 9 inches, but he dropped a stroke. Pertzer has already overtaken him, and the others coming up behind. And Fred Couples was a low amateur. But now here's Hale Irwin. With this match is Bob Rosberg, who will tell us how they're looking when they're on their way.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. Right in the middle of the fairway, fairly long.
Oh, this hole, 385 yards. The wind has blown consistently from the same direction all week. That's a little bit against right to left. There's our little plan of the second hole, pretty straight away. Now Weiskopf needs some straight hitting, some nice putting and a cool head.
And this is a good drive. Right up the middle of the fairway and very long.
Well, that's a splendid drive from Weiskopf, and he's some 15 or 20 yards ahead of Irwin. Now, third tee, Lee Elder, who started at par but dropped a stroke at the second, now 3 over. And that's a good shot, and you can see that pin in, well, not in one of the easiest positions that I've seen. That great cheer, incidentally, we heard just a few minutes ago, it was Jerry Pate, who Dave Marr is very keen on. He got a birdie at the second, so we've got lots of good stuff to come up, and we'll be here to bring it to you.
United States Open Golf Championship, Inverness Club, Toledo, Ohio. This the second hole. Participants here at the moment, Hale Irwin, the leader in the tournament by 3 shots over Tom Purtzer. Purtzer having birdied the first 2 holes, Irwin having parred the first.
Rossi, about what kind of shot does he have?
He's about 130 yards, David. I believe he's hitting an 8-iron. Pins on the left and the wind coming directly from right to left.
He started out a little right.
He's got to get up, I believe. No, it's perfect.
Oh, yeah. I want to tell you.
Beautiful shot.
Gorgeous shot by Hale Irwin, bidding for his second U.S. Open championship.
That man is very tough, Jim. They're going to have to play to beat him. I don't think Hale will throw anything away. They're going to have to earn it.
Tom Weiskopf. What's the wind on this hole, Bob? Across?
Yes, it's coming directly across, Jim.
Right to left.
Right to left.
Weiskopf needing a birdie here to get back in the thick of it. He's 4 shots behind now, having made a 1 over par 5 on the first hole.
Very, very long, Jim. Completely over the green on the fly.
That sort of thing is the exact opposite of what Tom needed to get off to a good start here today. Trailing by 3, he really had to pick up a shot, perhaps, in the early going, instead of which he's going the other way.
Well, that's one thing that makes Inverness difficult. Small greens, as you see how the players stand there.
Have you ever seen a gallery give a tremendous ovation to a man in the process of shooting 80 or 81? Well, that's what happened here just a few minutes ago. This, of course, was the man. Arnold Palmer being welcomed at Inverness. Isn't that remarkable? He's had a bad day today. 10 over par for the round, coming to the 18th green, but it doesn't matter. We should mention, perhaps at this point, that Arnold Palmer had to qualify to get here this year, and he went out with everybody else with a handicap of 2 or less and did the job and came here and fought to make the cut. He didn't want to go home at the end of the second day, even though he was not a real contender. There are the standings then. Irwin by 3 over Tom Purtzer, who's off to that hot start. Weiskopf and Jerry Pate now even. Pate having birdied the second hole. Some of the others who are lurking in the background. Gary Player, you can never count him out. Fred Couples, by the way, shot 302 total strokes for 72 holes to become the low amateur. The 3 amateurs who made the cut all have completed their round, so he will win a gold medal and an automatic exemption for the United States Amateur Championship this year. Congratulations to the young man from Seattle, Washington, and the University of Houston. It's always a great honor, isn't it, Frank Hannigan?
Oh, yeah, it certainly is. It's a great thrill for young Fred. He grew up playing on a municipally owned golf course, Jefferson Park in Seattle, Washington.
He tied for the Southwest Conference title this year, and part, if you happen to win it, part of it was an exemption to Colonial, and the man that he tied with, or the youngster, was a senior, so Fred said, why don't we play off? And so one of us gets to go, and he lost the playoff, which was a great sporting thing for him to do for the senior.
Here's the third hole, Tom Purtzer. A look now at the crowd gathering around 18, but this is 185-yard par 3 with a little water hazard there. This is one of the new holes put in by George and Tom Fazio.
Yeah. Good shot.
All right. Look at it draw back. We certainly have an opportunity. least at another birdie. See the flag being whipped there? When Peter said a while ago the wind had come down from what it was, we don't mean to mislead you. It is not weak at all. Matter of fact, the wind even now is considerably stronger than it was yesterday.
And you're with the wind on that hole. We watch Weiskopf here with his third shot at the second hole.
Which is a par 4, so Tom in trouble at the second after having made a bogey at the first.
These, to me, are the hardest shots to try to play when you're a little bit nervous.
I frankly couldn't see where that... Bob Rosberg, could you see that, or are you moving on to the next hole?
I am not there, Jim.
Okay.
Well, he bumped it, evidently tried to bump it into the fringe, Rossi, and he's still well short of the green. It got in that high grass and just stopped.
Oh, this could be the beginning of a most unfortunate day for Tom Weiskopf. On the other hand, we've seen Open Championships where at the end of the front nine it looked like it was all over, and then it just turned around. Remember the PGA Championship last year?
Oh, yeah. Well, the importance of the proper club. Now, Tom has either missed club twice or something happened, but you missed both those greens with short irons, relatively short irons, and that's the thing. It's mean. The U.S. Open is mean things happen to you when you play.
How's everything?
He's got to go some to make a 5 here.
He certainly does. Lying 3 now on the par 4 hole. And he's not on the putting surface, as you can see.
You can see just at the top there, see how the ball is sitting down. This is the difficult part. How is that ball going to react coming out of there? You never are quite sure.
I think it's going to work.
We also hear people passing the time of day back there.
That's a wonderful, wonderful shot there.
Pulled up just a little to make it still nothing but automatic to make this next one.
He's going to be lucky not to lose at least 2 shots to Hale here, because Hale has this putt for a birdie 3.
That's right. Irwin, as you see, 4 under for the tournament and even par for the day's round after 1 hole. We're following them all the way from the first tee to the 18th green in the U.S. Open. It's live. They're the leaders, some of them. Irwin made a very good putt for a par on the first hole, if you've just joined us.
This looks like about the same length.
Mm-hmm.
Golf can be funny. If you miss that first one, then this one looks more difficult. Now, you made the first one, now you've already made one, so you're not on a blitz at this point.
Touch of loose grass.
See, that's what I would think he'd step away there. Remember when Sanders didn't step away that time at the British Open?
Mm-hmm.
Step back and then gather yourself again and go up and address the ball and putt it.
And now it's a 4-shot lead for Hale Irwin, a birdie at the second hole. He goes to 5 under for the tournament, 1 under for the day. Up ahead of him, Tom Purtzer, who is still red hot, remember, having birdied the first 2 holes, but he's got a 4-shot lead on Purtzer. Now, let's go to young Tom. Purtzer at 1 under, started the day 1 over. He'll be attempting his 3rd consecutive birdie of the day. You had a little talk with him last night. You kind of settle him down a little bit, Dave?
Well, I just didn't want him to be discouraged. He's such a nice young man, and I just said, come on, you still have a chance to win. The bad round's out of the way. Now go out and play golf like you can play golf.
Not too far off. Tom Weiskopf got his bogey 5 at the second hole. Now drops to 1 over par. Started the day 1 under.
That's too bad. I thought Tom might get off to a little better start, but let's don't be saying anything yet. There's a long way between here and the clubhouse.
How often have those of you at home who are golfers started off winning the first 2 holes and losing the match? Almost as often as not.
Yeah, but you can press, Jim. You can start a new bet. This is just all...
True. Jerry Pate, some of the statistics on him. Jerry has picked up 1 birdie today. He's even par. Third place, 5 shots behind.
What a great golf swing he's got. He's just a marvelous player. And he got a little idea, too, about that break here at the hole. It just, Purchase broke very sharply to the left.
Yeah, he allowed for a little more. Let's see.
All right. Jim, the game is on.
Yes, indeed. Just a marvelous putt, but as you indicated, Dave, he did have the benefit of schooling, and he went to school very efficiently. So Jerry Pate now tied for second place, 1 under par. He's had 2 birdies in a row. Purtzer needs this for a par. He's had his 2 birdies. You can see the wind rippling the water in that little pond.
Well, the only thing in the player's favor is the hole plays a little shorter than its 185 because it's downwind. But if you look, you don't have to miss it but about 15 feet, and you'll be dropping it over your shoulder shooting 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it takes a lot of courage to hit the ball in there that close to the hole. And a good shot, obviously.
There's Hale Irwin on the tee waiting for Purtzer to finish up. Well, he certainly knows that Jerry Pate's made a birdie then. He was standing there watching him. He said he liked the fact that he was able to watch Weiskopf yesterday, even though Weiskopf was hot and making those putts. All right, the par 3 for Tom Purtzer keeps him at 1 under for the tournament. He and Jerry Pate then, his fellow competitor of the day, 4 shots behind Hale Irwin.
Good strong starts there. 3-3-3 for Purtzer, 4-3 for Hale.
And they move on to the next hole, opening it up for Hale Irwin and Tom Weiskopf. Hale with the wind at his back, remember.
One thing you know he's thinking about is you must not miss this shot to the right, no matter what you do.
That is a big gallery when you figure there are a lot of other people with other groups still at this point in the competition.
It's a hard enough hole with the lake there, Jim, but at least you have a place you can bail out to the left if you miss it. It's just inexcusable to the player if he would happen to miss it to the right here. Downwind, of course, harder to curve the ball. Aim right at the middle of the green and just make a good swing.
185 yards downwind. There it goes. You heard somebody holler bite, and he's going over.
Back left. Well, that's where you got to go. Look, man has a 4-shot lead. You can make a few mistakes. You can't start to play safe. That's too early.
Wind still whipping the flag. As Tom Weiskopf will have his turn, and now he must wonder how much club to use. Bob Rosberg, do you have any idea what clubs they're using there?
I would imagine that Hale hit a 6-iron, Jim, and I would think that depending upon the kind of shot Tom's playing, he's either going to hit a 7 real hard or try and cut a 6 in. The wind is really blowing from behind him. Very difficult to get the ball close.
All right. Purtzer and Pate managed to get on the
going
right
at
side.
it. Oh! You can see the bounce that ball took.
Boy.
If it carried a little further, Jim, it would have been a real good shot.
Bad shape there, Jim.
Okay. Both of them over the green on the 3rd. We'll be back live at Inverness.
And that's how they stand as we look at this 3rd green at Inverness. Irwin and Weiskopf, both through the green. There's Sandy Tatum, with the white hat, president of the United States Golf Association, and I suspect it looks as if there's some ruling being made. We have Frank Hannigan with us. Frank, have you any knowledge of this or not? What could be happening?
No direct knowledge. What could have been happening is that his ball came to rest on a spectator's blanket. Blanket is a movable obstruction. He gets to drop the ball without penalty. Now he's dropped it. Since it's rolled apparently more than 2 club lengths, at least it appears to us that way, he must drop it again. Now,
The configuration of the ground suggests that that's exactly what's going to happen the second time. So this time he will place the ball exactly where it's touched the ground when it was dropped the second time. And that's why you see Sandy Tatum over there bending over to your left, pointing to the spot. That's where Hale's placing it now. And remember, no penalty was involved. The next will be his second shot.
Very carefully placing it too, of course, because I suppose under the sort of rules of equity, he shouldn't have too good a lie, nor should he have too bad a lie.
Well, it's just the spot. It's also possible that when the ground is worn down very heavily from traffic on a slope, that the ball won't come to rest anywhere on such a slope. In that case, they'd have to move around and play a game until he could place it somewhere, the nearest place available, no nearer the hole where it will, in fact, remain still. And they seem still to be having a problem about that.
Well, they're being very precise, but then this is the championship, and this is the precise ruling and the way it should be done. Looks as if they've now got the ball back on the ground, and it's staying put. Hale Irwin comes up onto the green, quite a bit of green, downhill. Bob Rosberg's there. What sort of chip shot, Bob?
He has a shot that is going to come away from him very quickly, and you saw the putts of Pate earlier, Peyton Purcher, that the ball will come very quickly from right to left and very quickly away from him, so he really has a hard shot.
And of course the water just beyond, if he happened to top it, to scull it, it could easily scuttle over the green and go down into the water, I presume.
It's a possibility, Peter, but he'd have to hit it pretty badly to get it there.
Well, that's the shot he's got as the wind starts to rise again. Gusting quite strong. Look at all the periscopes there, people peering over the top. As Irwin decides now whether he's going to just pitch it short and let it ease its way over the top of the hill. Remember yesterday from over the back of this green, not so far away, he actually chipped it into the hole for a 2. Well, he'd be very happy with a 3 today. She's going a bit and gone 12, 14 feet past, and that's probably as good as he could do. This is the 4th. Tom Purzer started 3-3-3. And just gets on the green. This 4th hole, one of the most difficult. Pate way down, playing his second, hooking it up and over. Hollis Stacey is there. Hollis, that was a bit of a wayward drive from Mr. Pate.
He was in the left rough. He had a baseball lie with his ball above his feet, and looked like he just hit it short of the green.
Yes, he's short of the little stream that runs across in front of the green. But back to Weiskopf, who's over there and down among the spectators, and he looks to be putting it. Well now. Up over the bare hill. What a good effort that is. Just shows you, you've got to think the shot out. Tom decided that the ground was bare enough that he could just bumble it and bobble it up the hill. And, well, he's got it quite close. Now, Irwin, who's 4 strokes ahead of Pate and Purzer, is lining up his 12 or 14 foot putt for a par. Well, this course already taking a tremendous toll on some of the players. Rod Funseth, a very fine player indeed, took 45 strokes for the first 9 holes, and he was only 8 over, suddenly 18 over. All sorts of things can happen here. Jack Nicklaus putting in a rush. He's 3 under today, but of course was 10 over yesterday, though, back to 7 over. But this is the leader, Hale Irwin, putting for a 3 on the 3rd. Always left. That's all right. You've got to be philosophical about it. He started the equivalent of 3 pars. Par, birdie, bogey. That's all right. Mustn't get cross with yourself. Patience. Keep playing. Keep thinking. Don't waste shots. Now, Weisskopf. This, I feel, is a very important putt for Tom. He's misjudged or mishit a couple of shots so far in this round. He hasn't hit a green in regulation figure yet. This to stop the rot, though, slightly. This for a par 3. Yes, well done. Well, that'll make him feel a little better, and his fans a little happier, but, well, he's there, you can see, lying just 1 over par. Lee Elder dropped a stroke at the second. He started the day at 2 over. Larry Nelson dropped a stroke at the first. He's now 3 over. Third shot now at the 4th hole, and it's Jerry Pate. Flipping it up and over and coming round, and what a beauty. Chance for his par 4. That's the hole. You see the bunkers down the right. Elevated green. There's the tee, then he'd drive through the trees up into that area. And a longish second. This hole's 466 yards uphill, and takes a good iron to reach it. Now, there's Irwin and Weisskopf. Quite a good walk back from the 3rd green to the 4th tee. And the next few holes are going to be very crucial, I feel, for both players, because the 4th and the 5th have been playing pretty well as difficult, or the most difficult, on the course. Yesterday, the 5th, 14th, 4th, 6th, 9th and 7th were the most difficult holes. And up ahead on the 4th, Tom Pertzer, who started birdie, birdie, par. That's 3-3-3, which makes the scorecard look very neat. Putts at the 4th, a long one, very fast, down and across the slope. Looks to have a good touch. It couldn't do it again. Well, he just adds another 3 to the score. And if he keeps doing that for about another 14 holes, well, we really will have something for the record books, Frank Hannigan. That's a pretty good start for the young man who was a bit wild yesterday, but my word, 3-3-3-3 today.
3-3-3. It reminds you, it's very on Irwin. It's very.
Just watch it again, Frank. You watch it this time. See what you think of it. Good pace. It looks slow. It comes down, gathering speed, and then suddenly disappeared.
It hit the hole.
It hit the hole and disappeared, and what a start for the young man. Well, Irwin watched Weisskopf yesterday battling away and holding putts all over the place, and looks as if he's in the same sort of situation today.
All right.
Well, Bob Rosberg's been watching those two. Bob, they're good drive.
Yes, perfect drive by Hale Irwin. Weisskopf is driven in the left-hand rough and looks to be very deep.
Well, the battle begins to warm up. That's how they stand. We'll be back at Inverness after these messages.
We're covering them from start to finish at the U.S. Open, and now the leader, Hale Irwin, is on the 4th hole, a 466-yard par 4. His lead, which was 3 when the day began, has dwindled to 2, but not over the man he led by 3, over a man he led by 5. Irwin now by 2 over young Tom Pertzer, who has had 3s on all of the first 4 holes. constituting 3 birdies and 1 par. Now Irwin with his second shot.
About how far away is he, Ross?
It's about 200-yard shot, David. I believe he has a 3-iron.
Against the overcast sky, no immediate threat of rain yet. Could come later.
Beautiful shot, right in the middle of the green.
Yep.
It looks to be just a little bit inside of where Tom was, where he made his putt a moment ago.
Tom Pertzer.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Weiskopf, meanwhile, in trouble on this hole.
Weiskopf has a very nasty lie, Jim. He's got it very deep. The one thing going for him is that the grass is laying toward the hole. I think you'll see Tom take a very lofted club and swing very hard at it to be sure the ball gets up in the air quickly.
We got a quick look at Jerry Pate walking off the next tee, and now to Tom Weiskopf in trouble.
You can see he hit it very hard. It's going right at the hole, if it's enough.
You heard somebody say get up. It almost did, but just short, as you see.
You're always a little off balance. He hasn't yet hit a green. Short at 1, over at 2, long at 3, short at 4.
While we were gone for a couple of minutes there, Jerry Pate had this putt, if you remember, for a par on the 4th hole, a very important putt. He had scrambled his way up to the green. Little pitch shot, the 3rd was excellent, and this one, as it developed, was just fine. Okay. Pate with a pressure par. Kept him at 1 under for the tournament, 3 shots out of the lead. He and his playing companion, Tom Pertzer, then went to the 5th tee. This was just a matter of seconds ago.
This is probably a 3-wood, Jim. Mm-hmm. It's not a driver. It's not a hole that requires length. You've got to try to keep it down the left side here.
It's another one of the new holes, 401-yard par 4 with a creek along the right. There it is on the fairway.
Looks perfect.
Okay. Now back to the tee again to Jerry Pate.
Real exciting part about this hole is even after you've hit a good drive is your second shot. We'll get a look at that shot in a minute.
Pate, former U.S. Amateur champion, former U.S. Open champion, and he's still only 25 years old. Seemed to have lashed that one from the outcries in the gallery, but he lashed it left, as you see.
A little too far left in his effort to keep it left. Overdid it.
Now back to the live picture on the 4th green, where Tom Weiskopf is surveying his situation. Remember, he came up a little bit short here. On the last hole, he used a putter from way off the green. You think he'll use it here?
I don't think so, Jim. He's got a little bit different kind of shot here.
Right.
Before he was on the bare ground, putting up over hill and then downhill. This chip, a little bit more in his favor. He's sitting up. It looks all right. And, of course, he's pitching up the hill. So he'll take some lofted club, probably an 8-iron, 9-iron, or wedge, and play the shot.
His 3rd shot on the par 4 hole. Weiskopf now at 1 over for the tournament, 2 over on today's round. He's 5 shots out of the lead. It's Irwin by 2 over Pertzer, by 3 over Pate, by 5 over Weiskopf. Delicate little shot. Now Tom Pertzer, back live with him. You saw his tee shot on the 5th hole. Hollis Stacy is with that group. Is that wind still whipping up out there?
The wind is really whipping up right here, and I've seen the last 2 groups go by, and it's just blowing it from right over the pin to the left side of the green. So he's going to have to hit about a 4-iron and aim right of the green.
Well, you know, Hollis, what the Scots say. They say if there's nae wind and nae rain, there's nae golf. Well, we don't have the rain, and we're hoping we don't get it, but we sure have the wind, and it's an innate part of golf, isn't it, Dave?
It certainly is, and it'd take a lot of nerve to aim out. Just in the right-hand side of your screen is a lake, and if he's going to aim out there, which you have to do if you're going to knock the ball close to the hole.
Yeah, you can see it with the flag blowing right to left. You can get the whole picture.
It looked as though it started left, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't like that.
It's going left.
And the wind will take it further left, of course, and he is off the green. There you see the ball right there, right where that marshal in the yellow shirt and the yellow pith helmet is standing. Now back to Hale Irwin. This is attempt at a birdie on the 4th hole. The tournament leader leaving himself quite a little number coming back.
Now you realize what a great putt Pertzer made on that hole.
Here's Pate out in the velt.
Yeah.
Up over his shoes.
Little better angle to come in, but you've got to be sure the ball doesn't squirt too much, and that looked as though it started left. Hollis, did
It's
it?
going left. He was in some deep rough, and it's in the left bunker.
In the left bunker is Jerry Pate. Just when he was going along very well.
Well, if you make a mistake, you can't go right there. There's where the water is. That's a quick 6. This way, you probably won't make any more than 5 if you make a mistake.
So Hale Irwin is probably not aware of the fact that the 2 closest pursuers are in trouble up ahead. They're not within sight of him at the moment. Tom Weiskopf needs this, as you see, for the par. Scrambled on the last hole, scrambling again.
Hit it.
And again, successfully.
All right.
Par 4 for Tom Weiskopf, keeping him at 1 over, 2 over on today's round. 5 shots behind, but there's such a long way to go. Remember, normally you aren't watching golf tournaments at home where there are 14 holes left to go. It's usually 3 or 4.
14 holes filled with terror.
That's sheer stark terror. Now Irwin must make sure of his.
Well, he has an idea. He's not on the same line that Tom Weiskopf was on, but basically down below the hole, the ball shouldn't break too much. Just keep it in the right side, hit a solid putt.
And so he remains just about.
All right.
In what our well-remembered departed colleague Henry Longhurst used to call the tradesman's entrance, always, remember?
Yes.
Well, there you see the lead at 2 shots for Hale Irwin over Tom Pertzer, 3 over Jerry Pate, but Pertzer and Pate both in trouble up ahead on the 5th hole. Some of the other players who still hope to get something going. Gary Players still in there at +4. Fred Couples, once again, was the low amateur. The 3 amateurs who made the cut are all in, and he was the low. Now back up ahead on the 5th. A survey trip for Pate.
It's the kind of shot that he has, Jim. You want to go in the bunker with the idea of a positive thought. The wind is going to help you because it's against you. You don't want to be looking at that lake and thinking, oh my goodness, let's don't hit it in the lake. Well, you see so many of your weekend players get up and say, oh,
that's what I'd be
I
thinking.
don't want to hit it in the lake. Well, think of it in a positive way. If he has a good lie, I can't tell how his lie is there. Hollis, did you get a chance to look at it? Well, maybe not. Thing here is go ahead and play the shot you know. It's as though he can't get a stance. His ball may be on a little bit of a downslope there.
That's
Jim.
what it looks like it could be, I was going to say. And he could even have a problem on the backswing with that bank, the way that lip sticks out.
Mm-hmm. Sure could.
Huh?
And then he's really got a dangerous situation because the ball will come out lower and faster than your average trap shot.
Then the professional also starts worried about the lake.
Oh, yes. That's got to have those alarms go off when there's something funny going on. See, it came out low.
Mm-hmm.
Should run some. Good shot. Good shot.
Didn't want it to go much further. That water is not very far away when you get to the edge of this green. Look at the way they go. Look, it's still going.
Well, the ball acted as though it might have been buried. I kind of feel that the ball was buried there, and he didn't play too bad a shot. That thing moved another 10 feet after I thought it had quit.
Certainly did. Hale Irwin standing on this tee. He might have been able to see that shot, although it's kind of around the corner. I don't think he can see it. I just mentioned that because he made a point yesterday after his round of saying that it really pleased him that he could see Weiskopf up ahead and Weiskopf playing well. He said that it kind of turned him on and made him determined. He knew what he had to do. Well, he has that situation with Pertzer and Pate right now, but he can't see them at this moment.
Well, it made Hale play aggressively yesterday while the 2 youngsters who were leading the tournament, I'm sure because of the pressure and so forth, were a little tentative. Now, Pertzer's come out today and become an aggressive player. Mm-hmm. The 3rd round is generally the one where a lot of times the young player lets the pressure, well, it doesn't let the pressure get him. I mean, that just happens. You have to go through that a few times to get the experience in order to achieve what this man right here has done.
Leader by 2.
And he has cut it right down the middle of the fairway. It's just a beautiful drive. Coming right on the corner.
Well, just in the
Just
edge of the rough, but it looks like a good lie, doesn't it, Bob? Yeah. The gallery streaming along. Here is Lon Hinkle. Lon Hinkle was the man who became famous by finding a short way home on the 8th hole. Remember, playing over the 17th fairway, up over the trees and back, and thereby inspiring the USGA to put in a brand new 25-foot spruce tree, whereupon he went over a couple more times. Lon Hinkle, who comes in today, he did not have a very good day. As a matter of fact, 10 over par, 81, we're told.
You keep trying to go against that spruce there at the 8th hole, you might shoot a million.
That's right.
He kept doing it even after they planted a tree.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hinkle's spruce.
Okay. Jerry's ball ran against the taller part of the fringe there, Jim. We'll see. Leaves you an awkward sort of shot because you don't know whether to putt, to chip. Let's see what Jerry does. Can't tell what kind of club he's got yet. It looks like he's chipping it.
Yeah. Would you?
Well, I don't know. It shot changes these
Mm,
times.
look
See,
at
you
that.
can't get you can't be sure you're going to get the club on the ball. That's a shot. It's if indecision is in your mind, more often than not you'll miss it. You'll do just what Jerry did there.
What's against using the putter there?
Nothing. You see some players use a
Yeah.
sand wedge there and use it like a putter, which is a shot that you would never dump, just as Jerry did. That way you would not put the club down into the grass and then hit behind it and scuff the shot.
Jerry Pate in real danger of taking a double bogey 6 here. Most costly to him. He has fought his way to -1 for the tournament, only 3 shots out of the lead, and here it begins to, at least temporarily, trickle away. Shot by tiny shot. Needing this for 5.
When you play an open course, the things that seem to eat you up are the double bogeys. If you can just hold it to a bogey, then you might make a birdie somewhere and make that up. But when you start making doubles, and you got to make 2 for 1, you're losing ground. Big putt for him here.
Won the U.S. Open at the Atlanta Athletic Club in his native state of Georgia. Also the native state of Hollis Stacey, the U.S. Women's Open champion, who is following this couple.
Well left.
Oh. Now needing that one for 6, 2 over par in 1 hole. Not what you want in the U.S. Open. You get to the final round of the Open, sometimes it almost seems there's an unseen force that sort of decides when the screws shall be tightened, when to let them run a little bit. Tom Purtzer, you remember, was also off the putting surface, but he has pitched up to here, so he lies 3 on the par 4 hole, needing this for par. Meanwhile, out on the fairway, Hale Irwin and Tom Weiskopf can only wait. 2 tall figures there on the fairway, both built very well for this game. Willowy and yet strong men. Tom's 6 feet 385, although he told me yesterday that earlier this year when he had that ulcer that I don't think he told too many people about, really, Dave. When he had that ulcer, he said he lost about 20 pounds, was down to 170.
Well, he's the kind of guy that does keep a lot of things inside of him and seems to worry quite a bit, so not being a doctor at all, I assume that's what helps cause those things. Now, he may have an idea, but he's almost on the same line that Jerry Pate was on, just the opposite side of the hole. So I'm sure Tom was watching that. This putt is very fast. He's going downhill.
Looks like a nice
Better hit the hole.
Ooh.
Good touch, though.
He'll have that one for the bogey 5 that will put him at 1 under par, dropping him 3 shots again behind Irwin. But then Irwin will have his shot at this green. He did not see that Pertzer and Pate both went left and had their problems.
I'm sure he knows it, though, Jim.
By now he knows it, but I mean, he didn't have the benefit of seeing their shot and what happened to it.
No. Yep.
Now, remember, Pate is not yet in 6. And I believe you can hear the wind as it gusts up yet again. Rain threat still holding off. Doesn't look like it could rain within a half an hour, so I hope I don't wish I didn't say that.
It better not happen after you said that.
Now Irwin, 34 years old, one-time NCAA collegiate golf champion, U.S. Open winner at Wingfoot 5 years ago, non-winner of a tournament since 1977 at San Antonio. And yet last year, he won more money than anybody had ever won in a single year without winning a tournament, almost $200,000.
He told me that he just felt as though he's been unlucky. When he played well, one of the other players just played a stroke or two better. It was never the same guy beating him all the time, but his best effort was never quite good enough to beat the whole field, I mean.
Yeah. He's in the shortcut of the rough.
Looked as though it started fairly straight.
All right, good shot.
Good shot. Very nicely done.
The leader on the green. On the 5th hole. 13 more to go. We're going to have a look at Jack Nicklaus right now on the 16th fairway. He started the day at 10 over. He's gotten back to 6 over. In other words, he's 4 under on today's round. Pars in from here would give him a 67. Too late, but just perhaps a gentle reminder from Jack that those who say, gee, is the Nicklaus era over, perhaps are premature.
I'm here to tell you they're premature. He finished just a stroke back at Augusta.
That's
and
right.
Didn't get off to a good start here.
And soon we'll see him again in the British Open Championship, where he'll be the defender at Royal Lytham and St Anne's in England this year. A home game for Peter Allis. 16th hole is a 405-yard par 4. The ever-present Angelo Argia, caddy of Nicklaus. Okay, there's Jack, obviously playing extremely well today. Let's take a break and then come back to Inverness.
The 5th green, and Tom Weiskopf once again has failed to hit his second shot onto the prepared surface. Over the back, just kneeling down. There he is. And once again, the old trusty putter comes out from just off the green. Weiskopf, long putt, and very quick indeed, but full of confidence. His man is holding the flag. Good speed. Oh, look at it quicken up though and go by 6 feet. Now the 6th, and Tom Pertzer in sand off the tee. This 6th hole, just 205 yard. Par 3. And he's a long, long way away from the hole. Pertzer, who started off so brilliantly with 4 threes. Trouble at the 5th, and now in trouble at the 6th. Now, so Pertzer marks. We'll go back to the 5th, as Hale Irwin just kneeling at the back of the green. Played that very good second shot from the light rough, safely onto the green. If you can get on the greens here at Inverness, basically you're never far from the hole. Certainly if you could drop your ball down in the middle of every one of these greens, you'd be having, of course, a very accurate round, but you would not be very far from the hole. This looks a pretty quick one as well. Irwin is 4 under. There's Jack Nicklaus on the left, who's really been turning it on for the fans today. He's got that putt on the left. Jack Nicklaus at the 16th for a 3. And Irwin, as jets drone away overhead, putts on the 5th. There's Irwin's on the way, beginning to turn, coming round. Will it go? Will it go? Will it go? Just half an ounce more, and it would have been right to the hole. Now Nicklaus on the left, that familiar style. Aimed it well left. Will it turn? No, over borrowed. Turn too late. It looks like a par 4 for Nicklaus. It was 4 under par for today's round, 6 over for the championship. So Irwin, 3 ahead of Pertzer. Let's have a word now from Jim McKay behind the 18th green.
Well, Peter, we're well aware that today people will be coming in late, perhaps leaving us for a little bit, coming back again. So we're going to try to give you periodic updates. If you've just joined us, it's an overcast day, but there's no immediate threat of rain. It's hot, temperature in the mid-80s now. It's gone up a bit in the last hour again. And it's very windy, windier than yesterday, just about as windy as it was here on Friday. Now, the leaders teed off the last pair just about an hour and 15 minutes ago. At that time, it was Hale Irwin with a 3-shot lead over Tom Weisskopf. Well, right now he still has a 3-shot lead, but not over Weisskopf. Young Tom Pertzer, who started the day at 1 over par, as Peter indicated, birdied 3 of the first 4 holes. He started off with 4 threes, one of them being a par 3, of course, and crept to within 2 shots of Hale Irwin. Now, however, Irwin back again by 3 over Pertzer, by 5 over Jerry Pate and Tom Weisskopf. The other leaders you may be following, well, they're playing rather steadily. People like Lee Elder and Larry Nelson still at 3 over par, Gary Player at 4 over par, on down the line. Now, Jack Nicklaus has crept up to 6 over par and is on the leaderboard. Irwin for the par now. Weisskopf already has his on the scorecard, or in the process of being put there. Nicklaus did par the 16th, remain 4 under, and look at this, look at this. Now the leader has faltered. He'll now need that for a bogey 5. He had a good opportunity, at least, at a birdie here. Hit the green very nicely in regulation. But these are the greens of Inverness, just as fast as they could possibly be without being totally unfair. And so the bogey 5 for Hale Irwin, and he kind of stabbed at that ball as he picked it out of the cup. Well, that drops him back to 3 under par, and his lead has now shrunk to 2 over Tom Pertzer. But Pertzer, as you know, is in trouble up ahead. I think that kind of brings us up to date pretty much on the United States Open Golf Championship. We have a long way to go, 2 hours and about 35 minutes, or to conclusion. We don't have to worry about the time. Of course, we'll be here until it's over. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you, Jim. And this is Pertzer on the 6th green. This is for a 4, a 1 over par 4. That's safely done, but a stroke dropped by Pertzer, who goes back to level. Well, there's lots more good golf to come, and we'll be here following it. And don't go far away. We'll be back.
The gallery begins to grow at Inverness as we come to you live around the 18th green, but most of it, of course, is still out on the golf course with the leaders and with some of their other favorites. The leader at the moment, Hale Irwin, still by 3 over Tom Pertzer. He started the day at 3. It's at 3 again. By 4 over Tom Pate and Jerry Weisskopf. By 6 over Lee Elder, playing very steady par golf. He's had just 1 bogey on today's round. Now we're on the 18th green with Lee Trevino, twice a U.S. Open champion, most recently when he beat Jack Nicklaus in that head-to-head playoff at Marion, remember? Not too many years ago.
Watch this putt break, left to right, Jim, and watch how quick it is if it doesn't go in the hole. When it goes by there.
Here it comes.
Great
look at
putt.
Ooh. That was for A birdie 3. He always remembers somehow that it is, after all, a game, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And little trivia for you. He is the second leading money winner of all time.
That's a very interesting statistic.
People are surprised to hear that in just 12 short years.
One has to think that he'll be back in contention and perhaps winning at least one or more major championships in his lifetime. Same age as Jack Nicklaus, 39. Here's Gary Player now. He's on the 11th hole at 4 over for the tournament. That's 1 under for the day. He could yet play himself back into it. There's his caddy, Rabbit Dyer. That's the touch. Well,
a little more
short. He has one of the great touches around the greens, though.
Well, not only that, he doesn't give up. Even when he's playing bad, he keeps trying. He keeps his senses about him. And that saves a lot of shots rather than getting angry and looking back. I mean, that's history already. He keeps looking ahead.
And here is Tom Purtzer. Tom Purtzer, 27 years old. On this Father's Day, he is the only one of the leaders, I believe, who is not a father. And married, however, and here is a man who is the father of a good many. Jack Nicklaus, second shot on the 17th hole. He is 4 under for the day. The 17th hole, another of the long par 4s here, 431 yards, but you hit down to the green on 17.
Great hole, severe green here. If you go by the hole, it's maybe the fastest green here. 17 or 18, one of them's got to be fastest.
Okay. Coming down towards the 17th green. And I believe he's found trouble. I don't know whether he was in that bunker or in the longish grass. But there was a definite groan from the crowd. It's not in the sand, so he's going in the rough. Somewhere around the 17th green has Jack Nicklaus, but now back to Purtzer again. As we said, in second place at even par. The first 2 days here, he was all over the golf course, and yet scrambled his way to a tie for the lead with Larry Nelson. Yesterday was all over the golf course again, and it caught up with him. He dropped back. Today, he's hitting the ball much straighter.
I think Hollis Stacy is out there. Hollis, have you had a chance to look at Tom's lie in the rough there?
I sure have. He's driven it in the left rough, which is the toughest rough on the golf course. He's got about a 7 or 8 iron. Playing conservatively, he'll just be playing for bogey here.
Looks as though there's a little indecision. This is a great par 4, Jim. 452 yards with that creek in front of the tee, which shouldn't come into play, and then down the right side of the fairway and shooting up to this green. There's not a single bunker on this hole, and yet it's one of the great holes in golf.
It simply needs no bunkers to make it difficult.
It's hard enough.
Yeah. Purtzer coming up. How's it look, Hollis?
I can't see it, but
well, it's short.
It
It's short. We have a look at it now. Thank you anyway. Just a little bit short. Tom Purtzer, but he probably will be able to use the putter from there. He's very close to the green.
Not a bad shot from where he was.
Nope. Now Jerry Pate. Jerry Pate, who is 4 shots off the lead, tied for third with Tom Weisskopf. It's a 4-way battle for the U.S. Open Championship at the moment. Lurking behind those 4, Gary Player is the next closest, along with Larry Nelson and Lee Elder, all of them hanging at 4 over. Gary Player parred the 11th hole we were watching him play a minute ago. Remaining then 4 over for the tournament, 1 under for the day. Pate. All right. He certainly held on to his concentration despite the double bogey, the 2 over par that he made back there.
Well, you got to keep going. You can't look back at that double bogey. That's he's still not very far away, and you can't tell what Hale's going to do, so keep trying.
Now to the 6th hole again. This is the 220-yard par 3. Hale, that's Hale Irwin, of course. There he is. Putting for a birdie. hear the wind noise. Now, the putting touch doesn't seem to be quite what it was on the first couple of holes for Hale, and it does tend to come and go like that. Just about a minute, we'd like to take you behind the scenes a little bit. In about a minute, we're going to be joined by a live audience of a good many million in Great Britain. And when that happens, you'll hear Peter Alice come in and say something like, well, here we are, and so forth. He'll be opening the program for the BBC. And, of course, they'll be with us all the rest of the way. Very glad to have them, as we did yesterday. All right. Now the 12th tee and Gary Player. This is the 1 par 3 on the back nine, 167 yards. Sure had the line on that one, baby. Look at that.
He had the line yesterday when he made an ace.
At the third hole. Right. Certainly has a chance for a birdie there. Don't quite count Gary Player out. We'll be keeping an eye on him, as we have been. Irwin by 3 over Pertzer. Again, 4 over Payton Weisskopf. 7 now over Player, Elder, and Nelson. We're at the U.S. Open, and we're live.
And welcome by satellite to our golfing friends in Great Britain. And that's the situation at the Inverness Club, the United States Open Championship. It's very exciting at the moment, Halo, and you can see still ahead by 3 strokes, but Tom Pertzer, a young player, started off with 4 threes. Only one of those was a par 3. That really did get things going. Jack Nicklaus coming back to form. He's 4 under par at the moment, although he started the day at 10 over. There's much going on here. Fred Couples was the low amateur, so he gets the gold medal, and he will automatically get exemption into the amateur championship. It's hot, it's muggy, there has been a threat of thunder. It's very exciting. A marvelous crowd here and a feast of marvelous golf. Here's Tom Pertzer.
Well, this is Jim McKay with Dave Marr. We'd also like to welcome our British audience, and we'll try to keep our speech as free of American accent as possible. There's Tom Pertzer now. From off the green, his birdie attempt coming up short. Tom went 3-3-3-3, birdieing 3 of the first 4 holes. Since then, he's been a little more human. And he's at even par for the tournament, still 1 under for the day. If you're not familiar with Tom, well, we'll be back to him. Let's go to Jack Nicklaus now, needing this for a par on the 17th hole to stay 4 under for the day and 6 over for the tournament. A round of 4 under would be 67 and would tie for the low round of this championship. 67s were turned in yesterday by Hale Irwin and Tom Weisskopf.
This tournament is sort of typical for Jack in the last few years, with the exception of his win last year at the Open, in that he seems to play only on 1 day a week, on Sunday afternoon, it seems.
Always on Sunday.
Just sort of indifferent scores, Thursdays and Fridays.
One time.
Oh. No, so if he makes that one, it'll be a bogey 5 here, and we'll drop him to 7 over for the tournament, 3 under on today's round, and he'll have 1 more hole to play. We go to the 7th tee again, and for the first time for our British friends, this is probably the most difficult hole on the golf course. One of the fine holes in American golf, 452 yards long, a par 4. You see there's a creek that meanders along the right, cuts in at one point, and so difficult that Dave Marr pointed out a couple of minutes ago, it needs no bunkers at all. There's not one sand bunker on this hole.
And that, too, may be why it's a little harder. Sometimes you have a bunker, Jim, just to show you which way to go or what to avoid. It's hard to get your line a lot of times on a hole like this. The creek does come out on the right side, but with a good drive, you can knock it, you can carry that part of the creek.
Right. There's Irwin. Even par for the day. Excuse me, 1 over for the day.
Puts a little left. Rusty?
Yep.
Yes, that ball's way left in the very deep rough and quite short. It's funny, the wind has turned around just in the last couple of minutes and is actually blowing into the players.
Ooh, well, that brings that creek into play then.
Yes, it sure does.
Again, to continue to identify our commentary team for our overseas viewers who've just joined us, that was Bob Rosberg, who's out on the fairway. He's moving along with this pairing of Weisskopf and Irwin. former PGA champion himself.
Weiskopf apparently three-putted the last hole. He was on the green a tremendous distance from the hole, but since he's shooting last, he must have made bogey.
Yes, he's 2 over now. We're just going to report that.
He's hit a good drive here. Perfect.
Well, 5 shots out of the lead. He needs a few of those to get back into it. Now Purtzer. Oh, that was for a par, so it's another bogey for Tom Purtzer. After a tremendous start, he's sliding back definitely now, going to 1 over par. That puts him 4 shots behind Irwin in a tie with Jerry Pate.
Just shows you the value of hitting the greens. He's missed 3 straight greens, and you've gotten 3 straight bogeys after that wonderful start where he played very well.
There's some other players who have concluded their final rounds. Lee Trevino and former champion Hubert Green. John Mahaffey, our current American PGA champion. Dave Stockton, who won the PGA twice. Bruce Litsky, fine young player. Lon Hinkle, who inspired a new tree on the golf course here. And Arnold Palmer. Well, the bogey is now official on that hole. And Purtzer will move on and try to forget it.
Well, he's got to think positively. You've got a par 5 in front of you, a hole that you hope are your best chance to make a birdie on.
Gary Player.
Putting for a birdie 2 here, Jim.
Yep, on the short 12th hole. Only par 3 on the back 9. No. Oh, that was could have been a big one for him. Gary at 4 over par. If he had gotten a 3 over, he would have been very much.
Well, with each hole that you don't birdie, you're just, getting yourself backed into a corner as we watch the man at 18T.
The deep concentration of Nicklaus. He's out of contention, but he's still 3 under for the day, and he always gives his best effort.
Whether he's shooting 68 or 88, he is trying each and every time he hits the ball.
This is a short par 4, 354 yards. That's all. Unusual in the U.S. Open Championship for a finishing hole. Starting out to the right.
Turned out perfect.
Yep. Just coming down onto the fairway. He'll have a good shot into the 18th green. At age 39, Nicklaus continues to walk on. And he'll be coming back to Britain very shortly to defend his British Open Championship. There's the way they stand. Hale Irwin by 4 now over Purtzer and Pate, remember. By 5 over Weiskopf. By 7 over Player, Elder, and Nelson. Jack Nicklaus now at 7. So he trails, actually, Bill Rogers and David Graham there. Ben Crenshaw, Lanny Watkins, and Fred Couples again was low amateur. A wide look from our crane camera at the gallery gathering around the 18th. That's the clubhouse. They burned down 2 clubhouses in the early days here, but this one's been here ever since the first U.S. Open came here. That was in 1920. Jerry Pate on the 8th tee. Now this, we are told that it looks like he's going to line up to go to the 17th fairway. This is a controversy that's been going on here ever since the first day when Lon Hinkle and several other players decided instead of playing this long dogleg left par 5 the right way, or the normal way, they would play through an opening in the trees to the 17th fairway, then up and over some other trees and try to get home in 2. The USGA planted a new tree that was supposed to frustrate them, but Hinkle and a few others, principally Chicho Rodriguez, have continued to do it, and that looks like Jerry Pate is going to dare it when he's in contention for the championship.
Well, I just don't know whether I agree with this or not. I haven't played the new hole, and you may wonder why he had his driver on the ground there, Jim. When you tee up, you must stay within 2 club lengths of the tee markers, and you see the graphic of the 8th hole there.
Now here's the way you're supposed to play it normally. Naturally, you hit it down that green fairway. That is the 8th hole itself. And then you might try to get home, but it's probably too long for you. Probably come up to about here with 2 good shots, and then you flip on in 3, try to make a birdie putt. However, here is the way Hinkle's invention says to come over here through that little tiny hole in the trees to the 17th fairway, then a blind shot over some high trees and try to hit the green in 2. The odds against it, but Pate must figure 4 shots out of the lead that he needs it, and yet there's such a long way to go. There is the new tree that was put in, and there he goes. What is it, Hollis? Can you see
I'm
it?
in the wrong place.
You're on the normal fairway, probably.
I'm with Susie, and she's shaking her head right now.
All right, she is talking about Susie, Jerry Pate's wife, who shook her head. Apparently she didn't agree with the judgment. As you see, he's in the rough on the 17th fairway, playing the 8th hole. That's what happened to Hinkle when we saw him do it yesterday. And there's what he faces on the next shot.
Well, what you've got to hope for is a good line at rough. It's really, do you want to take a chance and try to shorten it up? But you're as you pointed out, your second shot, blind, rough.
Now, Purtzer, again, you heard Dave Marr say that, you can't go as far back as you want. Some people think that when you're teeing up a ball. You may go no more than 2 club lengths behind the tee markers. That's why they put them there, to make you tee off in that general area of the teeing ground.
Hollis, has the wind changed out there? Why would they be doing this?
This was when they put the tree in at dawn on Friday morning, Hinkle's spruce.
The wind is out of the west right now.
Well, does that mean it's against or with?
It's more in their face right now. I guess it would be the best way to go. They couldn't get there the regular way.
Okay, Purtzer's going to try it, hitting for the 17th fairway. Very, very seldom you'd see this in a major championship. But they're entitled to do it. Any word on that shot, Hollis? Oh, he looks like he's hit a bad shot. Also in the right rough to 17, from the way the crowd was scurrying, it looked like he might have more of a problem than Jerry Pate. Purtzer and Pate, 2 young men, both doing what young men often do, daring.
Well, we'll see here.
Tom Weiskopf now, 1 hole back on the 7th fairway of the 452-yard, most difficult hole on the course, most people think.
Got it way long to the right.
But he's on the putting surface, on the green, long way from the hole, as Bob Rosberg pointed out from the fairway. Now Hale Irwin with his second shot on the 7th.
Taking a wood out of that tall fairway.
Okay, let's see what happens to that one. All right, you see it on the putting surface. Will it stay there? Yes. But again, he is even further. And now to the 18th, where Jack Nicklaus gets his reception.
A standing ovation, Jim. Look at these people up.
Like Tom Weiskopf, he's playing in his home state of Ohio. A Columbus man is Jack Nicklaus.
That's just marvelous.
And there is Jack, 3 under on today's round. If he makes a par here, he'll have a round of 68, only 1 shot off the best round in the tournament. Nowhere near the U.S. Open record. That was a 63 by Johnny Miller at the most difficult Oakmont course outside Pittsburgh.
If he makes a par here, he's going to be a little hot because he knocked it stiff. You can see he's looking where his ball mark was, and he spun the ball back, Jim, about 20 feet down that slick hill. He only has about a 4-footer for a 3 here.
Yeah, he brought a great yell from the crowd, even before he walked up with the shot itself. Jack Nicklaus playing with young Bill Cratchit. Cratchit started today 10 overs, now 15 over, but he is a good young player. In 1 year, you must believe we're going to see Cratchit very much in contention for the U.S. Open. There's the way they stand, the leaders.
Speaking of Cratchit, as a lot of the players are out here, are a pretty good number, the son of a golf professional.
That's right, from Fort Wayne, Indiana. He's not too far from home.
Where the Mad Anthonys live.
That's right. Now you're really confusing our friends across the sea. Fort Wayne was named after an American hero named Mad Anthony Wayne. Now here comes Mr. Cratchit from Fort Wayne.
Watch that pickup speed now.
Tough. Well, what is there to do but smile at this point?
You have to see a little humor in it because no one has made a putt from above that hole today. It's just so fast.
That's Jack indicating there.
Well, he's looking up to take a line. He's going to move his coin toward the left or right, whichever way it goes, and you line it up on something, whether you line it up on a tree or stake or something, so when you put it back down, you try to get it in exactly the same place as it was before.
I think the average golfer just learned something else.
Well, don't be too casual with that.
Now back to Hale Irwin with a long, long putt for a birdie on 7. Anyone, though, will be happy with a par on this hole.
Just two putt. And that is plenty of work to do anyhow, from where he is.
Led by 3 when the day began, now leads by 4. That's a good putt.
Great putt. That's one of the few holes on this course, Jim, where you might have a long putt. These greens are so small, as Peter Alice said earlier, if you just put it in the center of the greens, on about 16 of them, you have makeable putts.
Well, let's see if Jack Nicklaus can end up with a birdie before the crowd in his home state here. It would give him a round of 67 for today if he can make this.
Well, he's right on the same line as Crescent, where he moved his ball and he's moved it back. And Bill made his first par, so Jack knows the exact line and should know the speed from that. Nope.
Too bad. So it'll be a 68 for Jack Nicklaus. Still a fine round, finishing up at 7 over par for this year's U.S. Open. But yes, Virginia, there is a Jack Nicklaus, and he'll be around, I think, for a while longer. The current British Open champion. And they're applauding him all the way to the scorer's tent, as you can see, where he'll, as carefully as ever, check over his score because, of course, he's responsible for the accuracy of that. Threw an extra golf ball away there.
Yeah, and a glove. He's maybe this is it. His glove's next.
There's the clubhouse at Inverness and the terrace where people are gathered. First day or so, there were people back there on the terrace who couldn't see the play, and they were kind of noisy, but they've quieted down and become very respectful. I started to say earlier, 2 clubhouses burned down here in the early years of the club, but this one has been here just since the U.S. Open first came here in 1920.
Pertzer's shortcut working out into a dilemma. Hollis, what doesn't look like he has any swing at all.
Tom's got no swing. He's in jail right now. He's hoping just to advance it. He's got no backswing, and he's picking the club up and just chopping the ball out. He's going to be lucky.
Yeah, you
He
see
just
the ball.
hit it 20,
Yeah.
30 feet.
Just rolled it along the ground.
That's all he could do.
So, maybe that is the law, David, that only unto Hinkle shall the spruce tree be kind, or something.
Well,
It hasn't worked out, really, for anybody else.
I hate to see him take the chance to go by there and then get by there. And then, as Hollis said, you're in jail when you can go the conventional way and still have a wedge to the green.
Hale Irwin now for a par after a lovely approach putt on the 7th hole. He's in, and the lead remains at 4. Hale Irwin moving strongly along the fairways of Inverness as we come to you live from the U.S. Open.
And that's how they stand in the Open Championship of 1979. Inverness Club, Owen ahead by 4. He's playing with Tom Weiskopf. Crowd gathering around the 18th green. There's Tom Pertzer, who tried to take the shortcut down the 17th from the 8th tee, drove it into impenetrable rough, just got it out about 20 yards or so. That's his 3rd shot, blind. You can see over the trees, trying to get it on the green, clatters down there and maybe in the sand under the tree. And I think a rather costly mistake. You can see the great bunkers around this 8th green, 528 yards. And there's one of the great men of golf, Gary Player, on the 14th, one of the most difficult holes on the course, 448 yards, a par 4. Player in tremendous form today. He started at 5 over, he's now 3 over, that's 2 under for today. Fine drive, they cry. He just got a birdie 4 at the long 13th, and he's safely down the 14th, which is almost the most difficult hole on the course, playing-wise, that is. heavy day, very muggy and hot, stiff wind. Pertzer's underneath there. That's his fourth from the sandy edge of the bunker and into more trouble. And really the story that Jim McKay told you about the 8th tee and the USGA planting the tree to stop the shortcut down the fairway, a few of them have tried to go the short way, and really it hasn't paid off. The man who started it all, Lon Hinkle, very fine hitter of the ball, he had a go at it today, but he dropped a stroke and took 6. We've seen a few eagles down the right way and a lot of birdies, and really this young man, who was really, with the tremendous start that he had today with 4 threes, was really chasing Irwin, the leader, and it's all drifting away from him here. It's his 5th shot. Now we'll go to the 18th green now. Another one of our colleagues, Bill Fleming, who's with the mighty man himself, Jack Nicklaus.
Thank you, Peter. You know, this would be a time when Jack would like to be interviewed as the winner of the 79th U.S. Open. It's not going to be that way, but Jack, you had a marvelous round today.
Well, thank you, Bill. I did play well finally, and actually I played well for 3 of the rounds of the tournament, and I just played one bad round starting out. I was 6 over the first 7 holes on Friday, only missing 1 green, 3-putting 5 times, and that just sort of put me in such an awkward position that I just couldn't come back. And at least played 1 good round today, and of course the last 2 holes, finishing bogey and missing my short putt for par, may have cost me finishing. I could finish as high as 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in that in the tournament, but now I won't.
Was the old lady as tough as you thought she was going to be?
Well, Inverness is a great golf course, Bill. It's I played my first Open at Inverness. I've loved this golf course for a long time, and ever since I played here when I was 17, I've been wanting to get back to play an Open, and to not get off to a good start and not play well was very disappointing for me, but to at least get 1 good round in was nice.
There was nothing ominous, was there, in throwing the ball and your golf club at the end of 72 holes?
Well, I had to get rid of both of them, Bill. I didn't want them anymore.
Okay, Jack. There's always ball to roll, and you won there the last time in 67, so we'll see you in 80.
Okay, Bill, thanks.
Now let's go back to Peter.
Thank you, Bill. And Hale Irwin, 2nd shot at the 8th hole, the leader by 4 strokes. Ahead, Pertzer's problems up on the green. This is 6th shot, and everything now a bit tentative, and that's 7, so that's 2 strokes dropped to par. Trying to be smart, trying to cut off the line, and quickly to Irwin's 2nd shot. Looking a little anxious. You can see the narrowness of the fairway, and just off the fairway into the rough, a little bit short of the green. But this is a par 5. Irwin is 4 strokes ahead. There's the marker, there the flag, and Irwin's ball you can see sitting up very prettily. Very exciting situation. Although Irwin is 4 shots ahead, one senses that disaster's lurking everywhere. Here's the man, Gary Player, who has never been known to give up on any cause. He's had a hole-in-one this week. He's holed putts, he's missed putts, and here he is battling away, just 3 over par, 2 under for today. 2nd shot at this very difficult 14th hole, long iron. I think he might like that one. Oh, strong. Oh, strong, strong, strong. Took a hard bounce and shot on him, and he probably doesn't realize that that's gone. It was dead on the flag. He indicates that he thought that one was going to pitch and stop by the flag. Now he really is going to have to battle to keep his par. Tom Weiskopf at the 8th. 2 over par. Weiskopf, who dropped strokes on the first 2 holes and the 6th, started 1 under, now 2 over.
Peter, Tom's hit a tremendous drive here. He's going at the green with an iron, and at the time he drove, actually the wind was in his face. He really hit a big one. In fact, Hale Irwin got the break of the tournament. He hit a ball that was going right out of bounds to the right, hit a tree, and came back into the middle of the fairway.
Well, that's the luck of the draw. How's that? That looks a ripper.
That's to the right. In the right-hand bunker.
Just expected to get a little bit of draw from the slope on the fairway, and there he is in the sand. But that's mighty hitting, Bob, to attempt to reach this green. Well, obviously he would have been pitching it on the green with an iron. That's a long way. This hole 528 yards. Look where that flag is. Ninth tee and Tom Pertzer. Hollis Stacey, the United States ladies champions, following this match, and that looks a good one, Hollis.
Tom is really nice. Jerry Pate is dead.
And
He
that's
is
how
in
they
the
stand, and we'll be back at Inverness after these commercial notes. We have returned to the Inverness Club in Toledo, Ohio. Gary Player with his third shot on the 14th hole. He's 2 under par for the day, 3 over for the championship, but that will not help his cause. Clear across the green onto the other side of the fringe, and he'll need that long shot for a possible par here. So Hale Irwin retains his 4-shot lead. Of the leaders, only Jerry Pate has managed even par so far today. Even Irwin is 1 over. Now, this was just 30 seconds ago while we were away. Hale Irwin's third shot on the par 5, 8th hole. Again, he almost went out of bounds on this hole, but hit a tree and came back in the fairway. And this third shot just gets him right back in it again. Actually touched the flagstick on the way past.
Big break there, and you just look at him. He knows it. Because that was gone, and if he goes over the green, that's a quick 6 at best.
Meanwhile, Tom Weiskopf put his second in the sand. He was trying to go for the green in 2 on the par 5 hole. So this is his third shot. That's a good one.
Not bad at all.
Both then will be putting for birdies on this par 5. Weiskopf at the moment 5 shots out of the lead in 3rd place.
That's what you hate to do, Jim, is play a sand shot when the wind is blowing directly toward you and you're a little perspiration on you. You just get covered with sand.
Yeah. Well familiar with the game and with this man, Gary Player. His 4th shot, needing this for a par. Trying for quite a few years now to complete the double Grand Slam. He'll need that for a bogey 5. Only Jack Nicklaus has won the 4 major championships twice. Only 4 men have won all 4 of them once. Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Ben Hogan, and Gene Sarazen. So he would like to join Jack as the only 2 times around winner of the Grand Slam tournaments. What a real distinction would be. But this has been a tough one to get number 2 up.
Getting harder as you go along.
Now, for a bogey 5. That would drop him to 4 over, 7 shots out of the lead. So he certainly can't afford to miss this. And he doesn't. The determined figure of Gary Player striding from yet another green. Weiskopf now for the possible birdie on the par 5, 8th hole.
Big putt to make for him, Jim. Somebody has to start putting a little pressure on Hale if they're going to make this any sort of a close race. So in a way, it's the advantage to be out just a little bit. Let Hale know there's still some golf to be played. He made it. I thought he had let it go to the left.
Looked like it, but just caught the corner. Now Tom Pertzer on the 9th fairway, a discouraged young man inside. He has to be, after making the wrong decision, really. I mean, it's easy to say that with hindsight, but so it turned out to be for him, trying to shortcut the 8th hole. Well, you saw how Weiskopf and Irwin played the hole, and down the normal way, both of them putting for birdies. And Irwin about to make his attempt. Weiskopf, having made his, has gotten to 1 over par for the tournament, tie with Jerry Pate for 2nd place behind Irwin here, 4 shots out of the lead. That's pending this putt.
Pate at the moment, though, in trouble up on 9. Oh, boy. The unshakable Mr. Irwin.
He turned a 7 into a 4.
He's now back to even par for the day, 4 under for the tournament, and has a 5-stroke lead over Jerry Pate and Tom Weiskopf. We're going to take a break here as you see how they stand at Inverness in the U.S. Open of 79. Well, we're back at the Open Championship at Inverness. That's how they stand. Hale Irwin and Weiskopf both getting their birdie 4s at the 8th, playing it the conventional way. But Irwin 5 strokes ahead, he and Jerry Pate. This is Pate walking back, looking over his putt on the 9th green. Now, he's had 4 strokes already here at the 9th. He's had many problems. This hole, 420 yards. A lot of the flags today tucked away in the corners of the greens. The course in beautiful condition. Pate hit a wild tee shot left under the trees, couldn't really get any shot at it. This for a 5. Look at the swing, look how wide that is. And he was a little scared, a little tentative, and why not? They really are lightning fast. So Pate looks as if 2 shots certainly are going to be dropped here at the par 4 9th hole. Pate, who was a level par here at Inverness is 71, 35, 36. The course close on 7,000 yards in length. Greens lightning fast and very small. And here's young Tom Pertzer, as you see there, 3 over par. He started with 4 threes, 3 birdies and a par, 3 at the short hole. Then he's dropped strokes at, we had bogey, 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 and then a double bogey. So 5 shots in the last 4 holes have been blown away. But this is for a 3 at the 9th. And turn, turn, turn. So at last, Tom Pertzer can have a little breath. That's the 9th tee. Irwin coming up behind. And watching a little bit left, is it? Yes, just catches the rough, but sitting up. Huge gallery following this match. And now Weiskopf. That familiar upright style. Gives himself room to swing. Oh, he's hooked it. Pulled it, pulled it. And yes, there it goes into the rough. Settles behind the trees. Now back to Jerry Pate for a 6. 2 over par 6. Which he gets, but that at the end of the day is, I'm sure, will be very costly. Tom Pertzer just with a little small one for his par 4. Pertzer gets a 4. And well, after that marvellous start, all dissipated. 9 holes to play. That's the 9th, our model of the 9th hole. Weiskopf and Irwin both left from the tee. Bob Rosberg, our colleague there, is out on the fairway, and by this time I'm sure can tell us how they lie.
Hale has a lie in the short rough, which is not too bad, Peter, but with the flag where it is so short on the green, it's almost impossible to get the ball close. Tom is going to have a shot. If he keeps it on the green, it's going to be a miracle. I would think that he would be satisfied to put the ball in the front bunker right now, because he'd really have a pretty easy shot from there.
Once again, the narrowness of the fairways. The rough here is not as punishing as I've seen on many other
Open Championship courses here in the United States. But the wind is blowing, and I would like some of our pundits at home there who think the big ball is the answer to everything to have been here this week watching some of these great stars try and handle a ball of American size, 1.68, around this course with a stiff wind blowing. And, oh, well, just pitched alongside the bunker and skipped onto the green. It goes to the back and just off. And that really was as good as could be done from that position. Now, Irwin. Five ahead. This course, we've said it many times, it's essential to hit straight from the tee and then just try and put the ball in the middle of the greens. It's a change of plan, really, for so many of these players, particularly the younger ones who are so used to playing golf like darts, firing everything at the flag. But not here, although the greens have been holding very well and the course in beautiful condition. Carried it on and just off the back. Pat on the old ticker to see if it's still going. And Irwin now on his way up to the 9th green with a 5-stroke lead. Now we'll just go ahead to the 11th. Jerry Pate. Pertzer's already driven and is down the fairway. This 10th hole, just 363 yards. And what problems we've seen here this week.
Same as yesterday.
And that's too far, gone over the hill, I think. Hollis Stacey's there. Do you see that one, Hollis?
Jerry's just hit it too far. He's through the fairway and on the downslope. So he's going to have a pretty tough shot in there with the pin tucked closely to the right-hand side of the green.
One of the great features here on this course is the ridge, the bank, the swale, call it whatever you will, that runs through the green. Let's have a word now from Jim McKay, who's behind the 18th green here at Inverness.
All right, once again, we'd just like to update things for those of you who may just have joined us. It's a long afternoon, remember, 4 hours of coverage or till conclusion. We've been covering all 18 holes of the leaders in this final round of the United States Open Golf Championship of 1979. Well, the big story of the day is that Hale Irwin has held fast. He started the day 4 under par. He is still 4 under par. He's had his slight ups and downs, but generally speaking, the net result has been all that's been important. Tom Weiskopf started the day at 1 under. He's had a lot of trouble in the early going. He's now 1 over, or 5 shots off the lead. Jerry Pate has played well until that 9th hole there when it caught up with him with a double bogey 6. He's gone to 3 over. Tom Pertzer started out with 4 threes, with 3 birdies and a par on the par 3 hole, but then took several bogeys in a row, and particularly on the 8th hole, he tried to take the famous shortcut to the 17th fairway. It resulted in disaster for him. He took a double bogey 7, and he is playing himself out of it. It appears now, although remember there are 9 holes still to go. Gary Player is the only one of the people on the top part of the leaderboard who's under par. He's 1 under par for the day and 4 over. Here is Gary Player on the 15th green. This is his 3rd shot. As you can see, the wind is up again today at Inverness. Some holes it's across, some holes it's against, some holes you're downwind, but it's always a factor. Final round being played on Father's Day here in the United States, as we are also joined by a live audience in the United Kingdom. I'd like to ask you, Peter Alice, do you celebrate Father's Day in the United Kingdom, or is that just one of ours?
No, it's become very popular now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there are a few dads over there as well, you know.
Okay, well, we'll wish them all well on both sides of the Atlantic, and back over to you.
Thank you, Jim. I'm sure they'll be, well, we're keeping a few of them up late tonight. I hope they're enjoying the golf. This is Weiskopf from the back of the 9th. And that's his 3rd, and good effort. 10th fairway, Tom Pertzer's 2nd shot. This hole, only 363 yards. Tiny little green, and a good shot. You saw there how receptive these greens are. They're lightning fast, but they seem to be firm. Now here from the back of the ninth, we're back with the leader, Hale Irwin, stalking round behind his ball, just feeling out, looking at the contour of this green. He's off the actual putting surface. It looks as if he's going to leave the flag in the hole. A very experienced player and one of my favourite players. I must confess to like watching this man hit the ball. It's so simple and elegant. He's 5 ahead and he's got an old head on his shoulders, and I'm sure he won't be trying to do anything silly. Just get down in 2 if you possibly can. He's had his good breaks today, had a couple on the previous hole, the 8th. He was going out of bounds with his second, clattered into a tree, and then he was going over the green, hit the flag, and ended up with a birdie 4. Hardly touched that, way to the left. Now, has he given it enough? Has he? Look at it turn, look at it go. Gary Player up ahead, got his par 4 at the 15th, so he remains at 4 over. As both Weiskopf and Irwin mark their ball. Or rather, Weiskopf replaces, and both have little testing putts for their par 4s. I'm with Frank Hannigan, who's the Assistant Director of the United States Golf Association. And Frank, you really have got the flags in some difficult places today, and the greens are fast, and it's very hard to hold a lead.
It is indeed. Irwin's job is formidable. Peter, there have been 75 Opens played at 72 holes, and the fellow who's led after the 3rd round has won only 33 of them, less than half the time.
Well, that just shows you the enormous pressures. Particularly now in modern times. Of course, it's such a marvellous championship, but dare we say it, the commercial rewards too are so great. Oh, that's the first poor putt Tom's hit for a couple of days. That was a bit weak and dribbled out to the right, and the shoulders just slumped a little bit as Weiskopf goes to the edge of the green, having dropped another stroke, and goes 2 over. Irwin, ever meticulous. This for his par 4, 9th hole. Boomed it straight in, the slow backswing and a nice follow through. Now, Gary Player, 16th hole, 405 yards. There's our model on the left. You can see all the trouble facing Player. Through the trees, the drive must go. And the familiar walk after it. Usually means he's in good form and swinging well. And there it goes, straight down the middle of the fairway for Gary Player, who's been going along very nicely. We recorded this on the 10th hole a few moments ago. This is Jerry Pate. That's his 3rd shot. And hello. Well, would you believe it? A drive too long, it stopped on the bank. A marvellous second to get it there. And then a casual chip in for a 3. Easy game. Now Pertzer, who played everything correctly, has this for a 3. Such the vagaries of the game. He plays it properly, takes 4. Pate has a few dramas and gets a birdie 3. Well, that eases the pain a little bit of the slightly disastrous 9th hole for Pate, as Pertzer goes in for his par 4. Remains 3 over.
Well, Peter, Hale has got a 6-stroke lead with 9 holes to play. Arnold Palmer once had a 7-stroke lead with 9 holes to play and did not win.
I remember that very well because I've had many a great battle with an old chum of mine, Billy Casper, who in fact won that championship, and they tied, of course, and then Arnold, I think, once again had a big lead which slipped away. So anything can happen, There's a view from our high camera. That's the 18th green, the clubhouse. We just swing round left to the 10th tee, which is a magnificent tee. It would grace any or most courses as a green. 363 yards. There's a dip down. You saw Jerry Pate earlier drive too far and finish in the heavy grass down the bank. The hole's 363 yards. Hot and windy. Very small green, which is considerably below the level of where the drive should finish. There's a little stream winds in front of the green. Bunkers all around. There's all the bunkers down the right-hand side. That's the first fairway on the right we're just going over the top of. There's the small green at the end, bunkers left, and the big hill behind with all the spectators waiting for this final group to come down the 10th. Hale Irwin looks as if he's got a 3 wood.
It's going way right. Going to land in the bunker.
Yes, just pitches short and drops in the sand, Bob.
It's not too bad a lie, Peter. He's back far enough that he can really play any kind of shot he wants to without worrying about the lip. But the only thing about this hole, if you happen to hit it a little heavy, you can put it in that creek down there in front of the green, and that's 6. And
Weiskopf, you see, with a 1 iron.
hit a little left. It's going to be all right, though.
Yes, that's fine. We're going to Gary Player now at the 16th. Bill Fleming, our colleagues there, and has been following Gary's fortunes. What news, William?
Well, he's hit a perfect tee shot. He's got about 160 yards into the green, and as you know, Peter, that flag is tucked just behind that hillock on the left front. Challenging approach shot.
This hole, 405 yards.
And he set it off to the right, hoping, I think, to have the wind blow in a little bit to the hole, and it does.
No, that was a great shot by Player. Just skips past the hole. Fine shot. We're going to leave you for a couple of minutes, but we will return to the Open.
We return to live coverage of the U.S. Open. It's the final round, and here is the leader, Hale Irwin, in a bunker, a fairway bunker on the 10th hole. This hole, a par 4, 363 yards long. Can he get there, do you think, Dave?
Oh, yeah. This is a trap I believe he was in yesterday. He had a marvelous shot and almost made a birdie. But as Rosberg said earlier, don't hit it fat here simply because there's a little creek down at the bottom of the hill.
Well, half his game is behind him, but half lies ahead. It's as simple as that. Looks pretty doggone good. Look at that.
Great shot.
Hale Irwin with a 6-shot lead at the moment over Tom Weiskopf and Jerry Pate. And that's Jerry Pate right there. Up on the 11th hole, and that doesn't look too good. Dove down in there a bit on the 11th, which is a 378-yard par 4. Now Tom Weiskopf, the former British Open champion, who has never won his own United States Open. With his second shot, he's playing with Irwin, if you've just joined us. 63 players played the front 9 today, and only 3 of them played it under par. Jim Simons, who ended up with 68, Jack Nicklaus, who did the same, and Gary Player, who's still out there. Now that's on the back of the green.
His club selection, Jim, all day has just been a little shaky. Just hasn't seemed to have had the right club in his hand at any time.
Here's scores of some other players you would be interested in. Former champions like Lee Trevino and Hubert Green, PGA champion John Mahaffey. Dave Stockton's won the PGA twice. Young Bill Kratzer, Litsky, Hinkle, he of the tree, and Palmer. These are all people who have concluded their rounds, that you can see what they are over par and their actual total, final total of strokes. Gary Player now putting for a birdie. Gary on the 16th hole is 4 over par for the tournament, 1 under for today. 1 under in this golf course is an achievement. And he's left himself a little one for the par 4 that he should be able to make to remain 4 over at the end of 16. Gary beginning to run out of holes. Soon he will have nothing to count on except others making mistakes behind him. David, it looks to me that at least at the moment, like the wind is going down a bit. I don't know whether it's true in the golf course. We'll check with our reporters when we come back to some of those groups.
Well, it is here at 18, Jim, and I just hope it's not switching around to bring us that rain they were talking about. Now, Jerry Pate has a shot here that he would be very fortunate to make a par 4 here. He's got to carry it far enough to get over the deep rough, and yet there's not much green between he and the hole. Oh, marvelous shot.
Lovely shot.
Just as good as you could play that.
Still a pretty difficult putt for the par 4, and he's tied for second right now, remember. The three leaders represent 2 former United States Open champions, Hale Irwin and Jerry Pate, and 1 former British Open champion, Tom Weiskopf. In other words, 3 of the finest golfers in the world battling it out for the American title. Now Tom Purtzer playing with Pate, 3 over par. He'd like to go back and play that 8th hole over again, I'm sure, where he made double bogey 7.
Very well played.
Well done.
And 11 is not that hard a hole to look at. 378. You just want to hit it down the fairway, and you have just 8 or 9 iron to the green. And if you don't drive it into fairway here, then your problems start.
When you mentioned about the wind turning around and the possibility of rain, at the moment there's no real threat of rain. In fact, there's a lot of blue sky, but there's a lot of bad weather in the Midwest here, so we're keeping our eye open. Look at the crowd gathered just on this one hole. They've been sitting there all day watching a lot of people play the 11. On the 10th now with Weiskopf.
Very fast down this hill, Jim. Very fast.
All right.
Good putt.
We get word that Gary Player made his par on 16, so he remains 4 over for the tournament. In a tie for 5th place with Larry Nelson and Bill Rogers. Lee Elder has dropped back. He had a double bogey. He's gone to 7 over. Bill Rogers is, as I said, at 4 over. He's gotten back into it a bit. Now Hale Irwin, the leader, by 6. And this for another possible birdie. Well, it would be getting pretty close to a ceremonial march down the back 9 if he would make this. But let's take a look at Jerry Pate first for the par. Up on 11. All right.
It's a fighting 4 there. Left rough, right rough, pitch on, good shot.
Now Irwin back on 10 for the birdie that could give him a 7-shot lead and could put him 1 under par for the day. Oh, he knew it immediately walking after it. Of course, yesterday he walked after 1 and went in.
Yes, at the 8th hole.
All right, par 4, however, for Hale Irwin after being bunkered on his tee shot on this hole. Remains the leader by 6 over Weiskopf and Pate. Now Weiskopf must essay this small putt for a par 4 to maintain his place on the leaderboard. Man who was born not far from here in Massillon, Ohio, has extra motivation. Now Tom Purtzer for the par on 11, and he's got it. Remaining at 3 over for the tournament in 4th place. Now the 17th tee with Gary Player. This is the 431-yard par 4 where you drive kind of straight ahead. Then you have a shot down to the green. Amazing the distance and accuracy this man gets out of a golf ball. Not a tall man, but a very strong one.
Well, that's a tribute to how much hard work he's put into this game of golf for 25 years, Jim. There's no one that works harder or tries to get his body in better physical shape than Gary Player.
Well, Dave, you're also what one might call a man of average height. Is there any secret to it for those guys?
Well, I just think you have to watch what you eat. And, of course, in Gary's and this man here, you do watch your diet. You try to eat a balanced diet and get enough rest and just take care of yourself.
The leader, tall Hale Irwin.
Looks like a 3-wood there, Jim.
on the 11th.
He's got this one way to the right.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, can you give us any more detail on that, Bob?
Well, it's so far to the right, it's over in the rough by the second hole, and it's right behind a tree. He's going to have a very, very difficult shot to play. I don't think he can even shoot it at the green.
All right, Mother, put the dinner on the back burner. It's not over yet, and it's Father's Day. Let him stay here.
Well, both times with 3-wood there, Bob, he's hit it to the right.
Well, he's hit a lot of them to the right today, Dave. That shot he hit at 8, you just couldn't believe how far to the right it went, and that was the break that probably won in the golf tournament if he does go ahead and win it.
Now, can Weiskopf take advantage of this?
He also has a fairway wood, which I believe is a 3.
Bob?
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Put it up there.
Right in the middle of the fairway. Perfect.
Okay.
But in order to take advantage, they're going to have to make some birdies. You just can't wait for Hale to make 6 bogeys or something like that. He's just too fine a player to do that.
Now on the 12th tee with Tom Purtzer. Tom Purtzer on the 167-yard hole. Jerry Pate has already hit and is on the green. We talked about that invisible force that seems to control the Open sometimes. No sooner did we say the wind was down than now it's up again. It's time to test them once more.
This is the shortest par 3 on the course, but nevertheless a very good one.
The only par 3 on the back 9. Check out that shot, then take a break. There he is, safely on the green. We're at the Open, and we're live.
That's the 11th, and Hale Irwin in trouble, and let's hear from Bob Rosberg.
Peter, I'd be very surprised if Hale's going to take a shot at the green. He's going to have to play a big fade. The wind's coming right out of the right, and he's going to have to play a miracle shot to get it on. A 6-shot lead, I would think that, well, he just played it out into the fairway, but now he hit it too far. It flew on him. It's into the left-hand gallery. But he still is in the correct position, though he has the opening that he can run it up to the flag.
Well, he's over there, having played conservatively from the tee with a 3-wood, but pushing it down the right. And now Irwin will need to just collect his thoughts a bit, because he is 6 strokes ahead. But as Frank Hannigan told you, Arnold Palmer in his heyday was once 7 ahead and lost to Billy Casper in this championship. Weiskopf's second shot.
No. Hit so. Oh.
Well, cries of no, but again, on the green, in the middle. Well, Weiskopf looking for birdies now, which are pretty hard to come by with the pins positioned where they are today. And of course, Frank, whilst all the play is going on at the top of the league, there they stand. Of course, there are almost 2 other little competitions going on within this championship. For what reasons?
Very much so, and very intensely, Peter. Those who finish in the low 15 are exempt from all qualifying for the U.S. Open next year, and the low 16 traditionally are invited to play at the Masters tournament.
Ah, so a lot to play for. Now here's Gary Player. Second shot, 17th hole. And look at the intensity. Ah, he's looking at right. And look at that. He really is a marvellous man at this game of golf, and playing all in white today. Now Purtzer for a birdie. Hole. That's for 2. Turning, turning, turning. Good speed. Save 3. Purtzer. Now 3 over. Back to Hale Irwin at the 11th. Third shot, and look, you can see the flag on the front of the green. Not much room to land and stop. Third shot, landing it short, skips it on, watches it roll, but that's not too bad. Still moving. Owen's a wily campaigner, though. He'll know that he must accept the fact that he may well lose a stroke or two here and there. Great thing is to not lose too many. Up ahead, Hertz and Pate both got their pars at the 12th, so they hold their position at 2 and 3 over par. Weiskopf 2 over par with a reasonable chance. This is the 18th, and Ben Crenshaw from the most difficult side is chipping from a little gully, and it's lightning fast. Third shot. Ben looking down the hill. Crenshaw 8 over par. Started the day at 5 over. So he needs 4 for 74. But back to Irwin at the 11th. 6 ahead of Weiskopf and Pate. Gary Player, though, up ahead. It's 4 over. Oh. Very pleasant indeed. Now, Irwin. Comfortable lead, of course, and here again, all sorts of thoughts. Well, you wonder, everyone has their own thoughts, whether Irwin thinks he can hold this or whether he's just going to roll it up nice and tidy and accept a dropped stroke. That's tidy, but a stroke dropped, caused yet again by a missed fairway from the tee. Back to the 17th, Gary Player. After that splendid second shot, this 17th hole, 431 yards, and a very hard par 4. Well, the last hole is but a drive and a pitch, and if Player could finish 3-3, well, it'll stir him up a bit. Turning, turning, turning. There it is. Heavy putter out of his bag this week. He's got his centre shafted one, a little bit lighter, and what a man. All in white. Perhaps that's a new secret. He's discovered that over 40 he's gone from the black to the white, and that might give him enough charge to go on for another 25 years. Who knows? Back to the 18th, Crenshaw for a 4. Weiskopf on the left, Crenshaw putting for a 4, taking 5. Weiskopf rolling it up 2.5 feet away. Crenshaw finishes off 9 over par for the 4 rounds. Not too pleased. Par here, of course, 71, 284. So look, watch this putt of Player again. You see he's got a closed stance. Look how much this ball turns, and in she goes. The defending champion, Andy North. Irwin hold his little tiddler for his bogey back there on the 11th. Now North, who had a good round yesterday, 68, 3 over for today, and finishes off with a hold putt. That's 9 over for the championship, 2-9-3. Weiskopf got his par as Crenshaw and North move up to the scoring 10th, just off the 18th green. Frank, very meticulous checking of cards now after we've had a couple of disasters, haven't we, with wrongly marked scorecards over the years in various tournaments and championships?
Yeah, we certainly have, Peter. The 2 classics were those of Roberto Di Vicenzo in the 1968 Masters and Jackie Peng in the 1950s U.S. Women's Open. Very unfortunate, but good administration. Putting someone in the tent to protect the players, to administer the thing right, is the way to do it. USJ has a young man in there named Tom Meeks, And if a player is disqualified, well, he's in trouble.
Player at the 18th. Lambs one away.
He hit it
Such a
way
bad
right,
shot.
Peter.
Yes, he's up on the bank there, Bill, in by far from the ideal position.
Oh, was he pumped up when he came up to that tee? He just put the ball on the ground and teed it off. That's what birdies will do, I guess.
Indeed, there's player. Back to the 12th, though. This short hole of 167 yards. Pin positioned near the front of the green today. There's Weiskopf. Bob Rosberg's there. How's this hole playing, Bob?
It's playing very difficult, Peter. Very, very difficult because it's downwind and the pin is very short, almost on the downslope. It's going to take a miracle shot to get it close right now.
Sort of an 8-iron shot or what?
I would think it's either a big 8 or just a little 7. If it's up, it's a great shot. Well, what a shot. He stopped the ball short of the flag. Just an amazing shot.
Just landed in the rough, just short of the green. Touch unlucky. Or some might say lucky. He's out of the 2-inch long fringe grass, just off the putting surface. Now back to Hale Irwin, who looked as if, well, he still might, of course, equal the record win in modern golf, who, incidentally, Frank, was our own Tony Jacklin a few years ago. Won by, what was it?
Oh, he won by 7 shots in 1970, Peter.
Those were the days.
Whatever happened to Tony Jacklin?
Oh, he's hale and hearty and showing a bit of welcome form, I'm glad to say. Now, Irwin, who really is on form.
It's a beautiful shot here.
Irwin in this mood is, I think, quite majestic because although he's hit 1 or 2 wayward shots, the pressure is enormous, of course, but time and time again we've seen iron shots hit absolutely straight at the flag. And almost hold his tee shot. That's Tom Pertzer at the 13th, peeping over the bank. There's the 13th hole, par 5, which has been the one of the easiest holes on the course to get a birdie at. But with the wind swinging around today, not quite as easy as it was. Down and up to an elevated green, small entrance, bunkers all around. Hollis, where's that one?
He's hit it in the left bunker, left of the green. He had a very good lie. And it looks like they're all, Jerry and Tom are pulling out all the stops right now.
Well, Pertzer once more in trouble. He's had lots of trials and tribulations. We're going to leave you for a couple of minutes, but we'll follow their progress here.
The wind is still up at Inverness. We're moving toward the finish of the 1979 United States Open Golf Championship. Hale Irwin leading by 4 over Tom Weiskopf, by 5 over Jerry Pate, by 6 over Tom Pertzer, Gary Player. Now, Gary Player is at the 18th green. Let's take a look at the 12th hole here. Just a matter of seconds ago, Tom Weiskopf putting for a birdie. If you wonder how he got to +1 and moved closer to the lead, that's how he did it just now. Now live for Hale Irwin for a birdie. The leader trying to match it.
Just lost a hole, stroke the hole before, and could lose one there, and all of a sudden it's 4, not 6, and
the lead goes right back again to 5 as the leaders match birdies. This was Gary Player's second shot on the 18th out of the rough on the right. He hit a marvelous shot. Look at that. This is the short par 4. We'll be seeing a lot of it as we go along there. Little gesture as he throws the club to his caddy. Gary Player, and now Tom Purtzer quickly, but over to Jerry Pate. Jerry Pate on 13, now Gary Player again. About to putt. Let's stay with him for a minute here as he's trying for a birdie. He is 3 over for the tournament, 2 under on today's round. If he make a birdie, he'd have a round of 68, which would tie for low round of the day with Jack Nicklaus and Jim Simons.
Plus, he's going to finish about 3rd or 4th if that happens.
That's right, and he's done it. Gary Player of South Africa. With a 3 under par round of 68. Moves to 2 over par. It ties him with Jerry Pate right now for 3rd place. Well, he can do no more in his own behalf, but he sure did plenty today. There with his caddy, Rabbit Dyer, wearing a hat that he got when he caddied for Gary in South Africa, in Swaziland, actually. Rabbit sent me a Christmas card a couple years ago from the Royal Swazi Golf Club. Now Cal Peete. Here's a man who, when he first came out, Cal Peete conceivably could qualify for the Masters tournament. And of course, Lee Elder is the only black golfer who has played in that distinguished tournament in Georgia. This is not definite because, of course, we won't know who the top 16 are for quite a while when everybody gets in, but he could do it. I started to say when he first came out, he was known mostly as the man with the diamond embedded in one of his teeth, but he has made a place for himself on the tour and has played extremely well this week. He's 4 over today, but still over 9, still only 9 over for the tournament. And when he makes that little tap in, he'll come in at 9 overs. We said that could make the top 16. That's his big aim here today. Round of 75.
He's a very fine player. We haven't seen much of him on television, but this man is a good golfer. This good straight driver. Look at him.
There it is. Gary Player and Cal Peete walking off the last green at Inverness in Toledo, Ohio. The man from South Africa, the man from the American South. Cal used to travel with migrant workers. I believe he used to sell jewelry from the tailgate of his station wagon, didn't he?
Sure did.
It's been a tough road to get to the 72nd green at Inverness, I'll tell you that. Jerry Pate. This for a birdie. 4 on the 13th hole. Purtzer made a birdie to go back to 2 over and to tie Pate and Gary Player for 3rd place. All right. I tell you, nobody's giving up out there. Nobody. Suddenly a rash of birdies. Jerry Pate going to 1 over for the tournament, tying Tom Weiskopf now for 2nd place, 5 shots behind Hale Irwin. The key is whether Irwin is shakeable. So far, it does not seem so. What do we have another look at Gary Player with his birdie putt on the 18th hole. Gary birdieing 17 and 18. Just a great performance.
Man can play the last round.
He made a lot of friends here the other day. He heard that there was a man who was a big fan of his who was in the hospital and made a point of going over to see him and have quite a visit with him. All right, now let's look back down the 18th fairway towards the clubhouse at Inverness. The clubhouse toward which Ted Ray walked in 1920 to victory by a single shot over Harry Varden and 4 other men, including the uncle of Dave Marr, Jack Burke Sr. Now to the 14th tee with Jerry Pate. The 14th hole is 448 yards, a par 4. What's the wind situation out there now, Bob?
I think Hollis.
Excuse me, Hollis, yeah. Are you there?
Yeah, the wind is blowing more out of the west. Before it was the southwest. Jerry's been hitting it left all day. He's been having a hard time with his driver, so he's taking extra time with his tee shot right now.
Right, but when you say west or southwest, what's it doing as far as the hole is concerned? Is it across, against, what?
It's cross.
Right to left?
Yeah, players right to left.
Okay. Where's that?
He's hit it left again. And it's left of the bunkers, maybe in the 15th fairway.
dear. Jerry Pate, having just moved into a tie for second, now gets himself in trouble again.
Next two holes are long par fours, Jim, and of course you've got to try for a little length, and yet you miss the fairway, you're going to make a very good chance to make a five.
Well, let's have a look at Irwin now. The leader on the 13th hole, the par 5. What's the situation? Well, here's a graphic look at the situation. First, Irwin on the left in the rough, Weiskopf on the right. What's the situation, Bob?
Well, he's just playing a sand wedge or a pitching wedge just down in front of the creek. You know, I just thought back. Hale Irwin has not hit a fairway since the 4th hole.
Is that right?
And it's just amazing. All he did hit the 8th fairway with a help from the tree, but it's really been a tough go. He's hitting some great irons, but he's really having trouble hitting either the 3-wood or the driver. He hit 3 or 4 in a row to the right, and then he hit a real snap hook here. Weiskopf has hit a big drive and really didn't get the best of the bounce. It bounced right and caught the edge of the rough, but he does have a good enough lie that he can get it to the green.
Well, he'd certainly love another birdie here, and this, the par 5 hole, is the place where you'd like to get them.
That's where he made eagle yesterday, so.
Yep. So Hale Irwin's been holding on with those iron shots of his, particularly the long irons, and he's always been very good at those. We remember the 2-iron, wasn't it? He hit to the 18th green at Wingfoot.
Yes, after I said he couldn't get there. He rubs that in. But he's got an interest there, Bob. He can run it on even. He doesn't have to carry it all the way on the green.
No, he has the opening. He's about 215 yards downwind, wind actually coming out of the left, but helping.
Well, an eagle here for him, assuming a par for Irwin, would make a 2-stroke difference and bring him to within 3, and it would then not be over at all. However, a job to be done here.
No. And it's going left. Probably in the bunker if it gets there.
Yep. I think it's the bunker. Is it? Can you see if it's the bunker or the long grass?
I believe it's in the bunker.
Yeah, I think so too. Just as he did on the 8th hole, going for it in 2, he hit the bunker. It was the bunker on the right the last time, the bunker on the left this time. So that's where he is, behind that hillock there. Bill Rogers has just been hanging in there all day. He's 4 over for the tournament, putting for a birdie on the 16th hole. Not quite, not quite. That could have moved him a stroke closer to the lead and out of a tie with Larry Nelson and David Graham for 6th place.
He's a good little player, this guy. He just goes along and shows a lot of heart, Jim. He's gotten off to a bad start on both Saturday and Sunday, but he's just fought his way back into really what looks like it's going to be a good finish.
Well, for those of you watching by satellite in England today live, when you hear about the depth of the American tour, they're talking about young players like this. They do keep coming. A look at some of the gallery gathered around various greens here. A lot of grandstands this year provided by the USGA and the Inverness Club. Irwin by 5 over Weiskopf and Pate. Just to keep you up to date if you're in and out of the house. It always pleases us that each year goes by, it seems that more of those young players we're talking about, Dave, go to the British Open Golf Championship, because it seems to me you can't be a world-class golfer until you've proved you can play the seaside links of Britain as well as the more parkland courses of America.
And if you're really going to have a career, you should go play in the Open when you have the chance and when you're playing well. And I think you have people like Nicklaus and Trevino and others talking to the young players about that very thing. Get over there and learn how to play those great courses.
Hale Irwin, 3rd shot, par 5 hole. And the murmur of the crowd as it comes up. And he's right there. His trusty irons working like scalpels, although the driver has been a little errant.
But you kind of wonder with such a big lead if, you know, what do you do? I feel like that the putt he hit at the 10th hole was all of a sudden he's 5 shots ahead, and you've got to keep your mind on what you're doing.
Tom Weiskopf's problem here is not to get discouraged, because through his career, great golfer that he is, great swing that he has had a tendency to get discouraged. Here's Tom Purcher now with his 2nd shot on the 14th, another of the difficult par 4s on the back 9, 448 yards long. Purcher at 2 over, tied for 4th place with Gary Player, who just Had a beautiful round of 68.
It's like a pretty good lie there.
You heard him. All right, a little long.
Good shot, just the wrong club.
And the wind keeps going up and down. There are lots of problems up here.
Yeah, now I tell him, right?
Yeah, see, now the flag is still at the moment, and yet in another minute it might gust to 10 or 15 miles an hour. They're just picking up as we watch. Jerry Pate lies 2 already on this par 4 hole. Remember, he hit his tee shot way left and was only able to advance it that far.
Well, that's what got him at 9 when he made a 6, was a duck hook to the left.
Yeah. Jerry Pate oddly started at 1 over. He's still at 1 over, even par for the day, but he's had a lot of adventures doing it. Birdied 2 and 3 and bogeyed 5 and double bogeyed 9 and things like that. Weisskopf, 3rd shot on the par 5 hole.
Well, if he has a good lie, this shouldn't be too difficult to shot. Should break, if he gets on the green, quite a bit from left to right. Oh.
He'll have a longish attempt at a birdie here.
Not as good as he'd like.
No, no. He had hoped for eagle here, as he had yesterday, but not to be. Let's go back to Jerry Pate. About to hit his 3rd shot on the par 4, 14th hole from the left rough. When we say left or right, we're always speaking golfer's left or right. Lots of jets flying in and out today. Well, there you see it, over in 3 on the par 4 hole.
Well, you look at the player's expression, Jim, and you know that they're guessing because of the wind. It's sort of a quizzical expression each time one of them look up, you know, be right, as Tom Purchase said, or Jerry just wondering if he had the right club in his hand.
Still the leader, still by 5, Hale Irwin. Some other players who have concluded their rounds today. There you see the talented Ben Crenshaw, the defending champion Andy North, Lee Trevino, twice former champion, Hubie Green, who won at Southern Hills, Mahaffey, the PGA champ, Lon Hinkle, Arnold Palmer there.
Now, Weisskopf will really be watching Irwin's putt, Jim, because he's on almost the same line. Tom's just a couple of feet inside of him. Be more watching the speed, and then what does it do at the hole? How much break will take place there?
Both men lying 3. They got there in very different ways. Irwin with a bad tee shot had a layup short of the creek and then flipped the 3rd one on. Weisskopf with a good tee shot, went for the green in 2, went in the bunker and came out in 3.
Should have a big swing right to left here. Didn't look as though he hit it, but it's no time to get too frisky.
Quickly, let's go down to the side of the 18th green. Bill Fleming with Gary Player.
Yeah, and a quick word with Gary, the former U.S. Open champion. Gary, I know how badly you want that number 2.
Well, Bill, I would love to have won this great championship for a second time to give me that 2nd Grand Slam. I have been second to Tommy Bolt, that great golfer in 1958, which was my first U.S. Open ever. But I've enjoyed playing here immensely, to the Inverness Golf Club for making this the facilities so great. We really appreciate it, and to the USGA for sticking to their guns and making the golf courses where you have to drive it straight with nice lots of rough, fast greens and firm greens. I'd really like to congratulate them. I hope they keep making it as tough as this forever.
Congratulations to you on a fine 68, and particularly in those great birdies at 17 and 18. Okay, Jim.
All right. I think we can count on the USGA to fulfill Gary's request. They'll keep making it tough. But the great players do like the great golf course.
Well, the harder the course, the better player has a better chance.
They say, in effect, don't hand me anything. I'll come and take it.
Okay, Thomas, if you ever made one, now's the time.
No, he left it a little below, too. Almost the same as Irwin.
Good putt, though.
Yeah, it was a good putt, but it's just going to be a par 5. And that only matches the leader, so it keeps Weisskopf 5 shots behind.
But he has to feel that that's almost a bogey for him there with an iron shot to the green and then make 5. It was a golden opportunity to pick up a shot or two.
It's going to be much more difficult from here on. The par 5 was where he almost had to do it. On tape, Tom Pertzer with this at +2.
Just ahead at 14.
There's an attempt at a birdie. Just that close. So that keeps him in a tie with Gary Player for 4th place. He made the par. So we carry on as the gallery does, moving along with the players. We started with the leaders on the first hole. We heard their names announced. We saw them tee off. We've been with them all the way. They are walking today. Just the yardage of the holes, we figured out, is 3.97 miles. And then you figure walking from green to tee and so forth. They'll have about a 4.5-mile walk today. And we've been with them every step.
And some walking side to side, maybe even more if they're looking for their ball.
There you have it. Weisskopf now on the 14th hole.
Not too much.
It looks like it's hooking a little too much.
Well, the crowd's scurrying.
It's not too bad, though. It's far enough where he's just going to have a short iron into the green. I don't think that tree's going to bother him.
That's what I was wondering about. We saw that tree there. All depends on the angle you're looking from. Kind of a festive sight here on Father's Day in Toledo, Ohio. You see by the garb of the people that it's hot, it's summertime. It really feels good. We haven't had much hot weather in the eastern part of the United States this summer. How about that, Bob?
Well, this looks like a pretty good drive.
He didn't like it.
No, it's left. I thought it was going to cut back in, but it's in the bunker.
Oh, boy. So Irwin's driver continues to betray him. See if he can come back yet again and hold on to that lead. Lots of ways to watch the Open.
Irwin in trouble. 14th hole. Wayward tee shot. He's out and up the fairway. Well back this 14th hole, 448 yards. There he is. Holes running out. Still 5 shots ahead though. Now must keep calm and cool because this man can hold the putts and hit the great shots. And if he puts this on the green, well, who knows? Oh, pitch short, charged on, and just as you see, going through the back of the green. Disappointed Weisskopf, thinking that the gods might have been a little kinder. But really, he was off the fairway and did well, perhaps, to get it there. Some of the scores already in. Nicholas Fergus, low amateur, Fred Couples, and back to Irwin, playing his 3rd shot at the 14th. Taking a lot of trouble. Doesn't really want any silly mistakes now, but with his driver being a little wayward, he's putting a tremendous strain on his iron shots to the green. 2 or 3 deep breaths, just clear the brain, concentrate on the shot.
This is a beautiful looking shot.
Yeah, fine shot right over the flag again. Touch long, but you saw there how receptive the green was to that well-struck shot by Hale Irwin. Just pitched right in and jumped back. Irwin on for 3. There's Bill Rogers, the 18th. This is a fascinating hole, I think. 354 yards. And what problems it's caused.
It'll give me a chance, please.
Down the hill. Quite a wide fairway. Flag today, front left corner. Green slopes severely from right to left. But the first objective, really, to get the ball on the fairway. Although we did see Gary Player in a splendid 3 from not a very good drive down the right-hand side. That's Bill Rogers, one of the few modern players who does not use a left-hand glove. And that's nicely on the cut portion, not too far away from the green. 15th fairway now, Jerry Pate. Pate 2 over and jumped back and just jumped off the fairway into the fringe. Leaves him a very delicate little chip. Going up to the 16th now, and Larry Nelson, who's played very well in this tournament. He had a shaky day yesterday, particularly over the opening holes, but he's 4 over par. This for a birdie. Very smooth, slow swing of the club, a little too slow and gentle there. But really, the speed of these greens has to be seen to be believed. And the surface too. The surface is absolutely immaculate. Nelson, 75, 68, 76 his rounds so far. Started the day 2 over and he's 4 over now, so 2 over. Par in for a 73. Tom Pertzer, 15th. Look at that ball go. Well, it's blowing hard, sir, from left to right. Dribbled away. Weiskopf, little chip from behind. That could be. Oh, what a good one. That's a 4 at 14. I think we can give him that one. It's only 6 or 7 inches short of the hole. But he'll mark because he does not wish to stand across or on Hale Irwin's line of putt. Irwin having played 3. Now again, just up to the hole. If it drops in, well, good luck. But certainly no point, now that Weiskopf's already taken 4 here, no point in him sort of dropping more than 1 stroke. So really, if he goes 4 or 5 feet past, it would be either rather too courageous or a bit ultra clumsy. Five strokes ahead, Irwin. Crowd still and quiet. One of the great things about golf, I think, and one of the nice things is that the crowds come to applaud the game and the players. You don't know sort of booing one or cheering t'other. Irwin putting down the hill at the 14th. And it's away to the right, but safe. This is the last match out on the course, and these grandstands, as we call them at home, and bleachers here have been occupied pretty well since early this morning. People just waiting to watch their heroes pass by. And Weiskopf with a little tiddler for his 4. And remains 1 over. Now back to Bill Rogers, the 18th. What's this spin? Unlucky, you see. If he'd pitched that past the hole, could have spun back. He can hardly believe it. Pertzer. Now, how about this for a naughty little bunker shot? Up the bank, 1 foot out of the sand. The flag just 4 or 5 paces on the green. Very difficult. Tried to play the right shot, but you see what happened. Just went in too deep. Very difficult indeed. So now he's playing 4. And every one of these strokes now very costly indeed. Still a tricky shot. Half buried. Yeah, good shot. Look at it go there. That shows you the speed. .15th now on the tee, Tom Weiskopf. There've only been 3 birdies here at the 15th today. That shows you how difficult it's been. There's our hole model. There's the tee. You drive between the trees there. Quite a narrow opening. Bunkers on the left, which really shouldn't bother these great men, and then onto the green. Bunkers all round. Weiskopf. 4 behind. About to drive.
Hold on. Hold on.
Ball's to the right. Short of the right-hand bunker, though, and sitting up pretty well. Good break.
That's the voice of Bob Rosberg, who's been following this match right from the first hole.
This hole's playing a lot longer today, Peter, than it has in the past couple of days, because the wind has turned around and it's blowing across and almost hurting at this hole. Weiskopf hit an 8-iron for his second shot at the previous hole when they were playing 2 irons in the previous days.
Now Irwin on the tee. Now he's been having problems with his driving. Needs a couple more straight ones and he could be the champion.
And this one, it starts way left, but it's cutting right back in the middle of the fairway. He has really gone to the saw to keep that thing in the fairway now.
Well, so Irwin on the fairway. We're going to leave you for a couple of moments, but we will return to live golf at Inverness in a couple of minutes.
They're fighting at home in the winds of Inverness in the United States Open Golf Championship. This is Jim McKay with Dave Marr at our ABC and at the moment also BBC anchor position behind the 18th green. All of this action going live across the Atlantic by satellite as well as all across the United States. Al Geiberger for a par now on the 18th hole. He has not had a good day, 7 over for the day. This was Jerry Pate just a few moments ago for a par that he certainly needed and made to stay at 2 over for the tournament in a tie for 3rd place with Gary Player, who's finished. Now Al Geiberger live for the par 4. He bunkered his second shot on the short par 4 18th hole. And he's got to get that round out of the way. 78 today for Al Geiberger.
Been having a good year, though, Jimmy. Won at Colonial a few weeks ago, and anytime you win a golf tournament at Colonial, you've played one of the best courses in this country.
Certainly true. Al Geiberger, who once shot 59 in competition. Now, Hale Irwin, having safely maneuvered his tee shot. Now, exactly what is he doing here? You know, when Rossi talked about he went to the saw.
Well, what he's trying to do is to cut the ball. I'm assuming it's a left to right, right to left wind, rather. So he's going to try to hold it in the fairway. If there's anything Hale needs to do right now is just hit the ball in the fairway, and he can't get in any trouble. If he can make a couple of pars, the game's over.
Now back live with him, with his second shot on this hole, and he walks away. Going to change clubs. Never the greatest sign of confidence. About what do you think he's hitting, Bob Rosberg? You're out there.
Well, he's got about 190 yards, and I would just think that in his mind he's not sure how he wants to play the shot. The wind is really coming out of the left, and that's the hardest shot in the world to play when you're trying to get in. You're trying to hit some kind of a shot that you can control, but with the wind coming as strong as it is from left to right, it's hard to hold any kind of a shot in it. I would think that he's taking a 4-iron and going to hit it hard. He's hit it, and it's blowing to the right, though. It's gone to the right.
Can hear him say, "Get down."
Oh, it's in the bunker. The leader has gone in the bunker. The game that was so steady most of the way around is anything but steady right now, and we see it happen year after year after year in the United States Open. So lest you think it indicates any flaw of character, just try it sometime.
Yes.
Dave, you did this in the PGA Championship one year. Can you describe what it feels like inside Hale Irwin right now?
He's so indecisive right now, and I feel that things begin to happen. They begin to happen very fast, where at first I'm sure everything was sort of in slow motion. And if there is a game plan in golf, it was going according to plan. Now he's changing clubs. Now he's staying back on his right side too long and hitting a hook. And there he's outsmarted himself, didn't take enough club and got it up in the wind, and it's in the trap. Now he's leaving the door open for this man right here, and he's not too bad a country player, this Tom Weiskopf.
No, there we see the situation. In other words, in golf, you can't freeze the ball. You can't go to your four corners offense. Not that they're understanding that in England right now. That's a basketball term. You have to keep playing forward.
This ball's to the left, Jim, in the left-hand rough.
Well, Weiskopf not able to take advantage of the trouble of the leader right now. It's a 4-shot difference. Hale Irwin, 3 under par for the championship, 1 over on today's round. Weiskopf 1 over for the tournament. I'm going to move across to Tom Pertzer, who started this day in spectacular fashion with 4 threes, 3 birdies and a par 3. Then got into all sorts of trouble. A couple of bogeys and then a double bogey on the 8th hole when he made the mistake of trying to play it down the 17th fairway and made 7, a double bogey that put him in a position from which he has not been able to recover. He's 4 over now, 7 shots out of the lead. A tie for 5th with Nelson and Rogers.
That would still be a good finish. I know he's be disappointed and look back at that 8th hole for a long time, but that may teach him a lesson for the next time he gets in that position to go maybe with a little bit better percentage shot than he did. It's easy for us to say up here, but
you can see the flag way in the distance there in the middle of the picture, blowing from right to left.
Leave it right there.
Played it right there, he said. And it's way on the front.
I'm sure he was looking for the wind to move it from right to left. And sometimes, as you know, if you hit it well, the wind doesn't seem to affect it.
True enough. A look down that fairway. Now Larry Nelson for a birdie on the 17th hole. Nelson at 4 over for the tournament could move out of that tie with Pertzer and Bill Rogers. It's a long putt. He was sure making the attempt, no question. All right, there is Larry, who was co-leader of the tournament on Friday night. Tom Pertzer. Now back down to Jerry Pate, as he is about to hit his second on 16. Pate at 2 over is in 3rd place, tied with Gary Player, 5 shots off the lead. Ooh, beauty.
Good shot.
Yep. He'll have that attempt for a birdie.
And with Weiskopf in trouble, he could move up into 2nd place all alone here if he should make that and Tom bogey.
We're a long way from dark here. By the way, Toledo is on the edge of the Eastern time zone in the United States. Here's David Graham, an Australian. Regular, however, on the American tour. David at 5 over for the tournament is definitely on the leaderboard. Playing the 18th hole, a 354-yard par 4. Pin position a little easier today than it has been earlier in the tournament. Now that'll come down.
That
watch
might
it, watch
be
it
real
right at the
good.
flagstick. Watch this.
How sweet it is.
Now Weisskopf with his third shot on the par 4 hole, trying to get it close. He must make sure of his par.
Good shot.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. No sure thing, but he's certainly got a solid shot at the par here. What of the leader, Irwin? He's not up there yet.
Well, that puts the pressure on Hale. Now he's in that trap, still to play his shot. And this is one of those awkward little bunker shots that you have. You've got a lot of that tall grass between you and the green, and you've got to hit it hard enough to carry over that, Jim.
All right, here's the shot now.
Oh, marvelous shot.
Isn't that beautiful?
Hello.
That's the way you win the Open. Crowd gathering around him now and around the 18th green, awaiting him. Total attendance today, 21,153. It would have been even more than that, but they've limited attendance here very intelligently and very kindly, really, so that everyone would have a chance to see the golf when they came out here. It's tough to gallery a major tournament. And now we have Bob Gilder and David Graham playing the 18th as you have a look at the gallery. As I said, they are beginning to gather around, awaiting the arrival of the man who looks like the winner at the moment, Hale Irwin. But we're going to stay with him because he still has a few holes to go. Tom Purtzer on the left and Weisskopf on the right. Other way around, thank you. Purtzer on the left. That is for a birdie. Just off the edge of the green. That's why I left the flagstick in. On the 16th hole, Weisskopf now on the 15th for a par. He must have to have any chance left. Trailing Irwin by 4. Irwin, after that bunker shot, looking like he will make his par. Tom studying it. He had hoped so much for victory here today in his home state of Ohio. On a golf course where he first saw a major golf tournament as a young kid 22 years ago. All right.
Well done.
So the par 4 for Tom Weisskopf. And now to the leader, Hale Irwin. That was just a lovely bunker shot, wasn't it?
So many times during a round there is a particular shot that you look back on that sort of, well, that made it for you. If he goes ahead and makes this and wins, I'd be interested to hear what he says in the press tent later. Just as he was getting a little shaky, then he played this marvelous shot up out of the bunker.
All right, he's made the par. Hale Irwin has 3 holes left to play, and he has a 4-shot lead. However, I would suggest let's all stick around.
Well, unless he drives it straight.
That's right.
16 and 17, they'll get your attention. They're both very fine par 4s, and of course 18 is one of the hardest easy holes I've ever seen, or easy looking.
Jerry Pate now on 16 for a birdie. 3. It would move him into a tie with Weisskopf. And the former U.S. Open champion almost does it. So the one he has left will keep him at 2 over. The battle beginning to look like it's for second place, but as we said, you really can't quite say that when anybody has 3 holes to play in the United States Open. Here's the man who has a chance. He hasn't been able to make the birdies where he has needed them and where he's had the opportunities on the back 9. 405-yard, par 4. We'd like to check the wind situation again with you, Bob Rosberg, on this hole.
It's blowing almost straight across from right to left. I wouldn't doubt that Tom would hit an iron off this tee. I can't see what he's got in his hand.
He's got a wood.
He's going with a wood, Rossi.
Well, I'm very surprised.
Get it,
Looks like he started to the right. And it has gone into the bunker, just and very close to the lip. I don't think he's going to be able to get it to the green.
David Graham finishing up. David is 5 over for the tournament.
So birdie. Put him back to 4 over if he makes it.
Yep. No, couldn't do it. So he'll stay at 5 over for the tournament. David Graham, he started the day at 3 over, so that'll be a round of 73. Par here, remember, is 71. By the way, we saw a couple of people miss putts that short on this hole yesterday. Now Irwin.
They're taking their time. Okay, Hale. He's also got a wood, Rossi.
I imagine he'll cut it into the wind and try and hold it in there. And he looks like he's hit a pretty good one here. This is right down the middle of the fairway. Perfect.
The momentum seems to have returned to Hale Irwin. For a couple of holes, the shakiness that attacks all potential Open champions seemed to have gotten to him a little bit. But that bunker shot, as Dave Marr said on the last hole, may have really done it for him. There you see the way they stand. Gary Player, as you see, has finished his round. He had 68 today. The broad fairways of Inverness. We're going to take a break here shortly and then come back to finish it up, to bring him home in the U.S. Open at Inverness. Now that's Lee Elder coming on to the 72nd green, marking his ball 9 over. A bit unhappy day today for Lee Elder. Started at 2 over, now 9 over. Dropped 2 strokes at the 17th hole. That's how they are. Just 3 holes to go for Hale Irwin, and that's one of the splendid camera views we have looking down on the golf club at Inverness. And there's Hale Irwin on the 16th, just consulting the book, looking at the yardages. This hole, 405 yards. Bob Rosberg's there. What sort of shot has Hale got, and how's Tom Weiskopf looking, Bob?
Well, Hale, I believe, will take a 7-iron and just play a knockdown shot somewhere out to the right and let the wind blow it and the slope of the green take it toward the hole. Tom, I don't think, can get to the green. He's got to hit the ball up in the air very, very quickly, and I don't think he can reach the green.
First, Hale Irwin's second shot.
Hale's got it going right at the flag. Beautiful looking shot.
Yes, gets the backspin, just goes rolling back 5, 6, 7 paces beyond the hole. Another splendid iron shot. 4 ahead and nicely on the green. Oh, and there's Tom Weiskopf.
This is sort of a funny spot, Peter. It's right now it looks like Tom is pretty well out of winning the golf tournament, but I guess you never play for second. He knows he's probably got a shot lead for second, but he's still trying to win the golf tournament, and you just have to take a shot at trying to knock this ball in the green rather than taking a wedge and knocking it halfway. He's hit it a mile in the air. It's going left, though. And I imagine that ball is buried in the bunker.
Weiskopf looking down and wiping the perspiration from his brow. As yet, well, so far it would appear anyway, a championship that he might have won slipping quietly through his fingers. 18th, Larry Nelson finishing this championship for him at 4 over par. He's 4 over at the moment, and apart from a shaky beginning to his round yesterday, has played along very smoothly indeed. 2 over today, so 4 on this final hole for a round of 73. Par 71,
And what a tough 71 it's proved to be. Yes, well done. 73, 4 over, that's not bad at all. Tom Pertzer. Oh, hello, that was buried, and that might have hurt his elbow. Holding something there. I hope he hasn't damaged himself too badly. That never got going. That spurted away. Hollis, Stacey's there. What happened there, Hollis?
Unfortunately, Tom was in deep, deep rough. You could barely see his golf ball, and he just swung really hard with a short iron, and it just closed the club face. He's again in the left rough.
Well, Jerry Pate's shot is on the way.
Jerry has hit it left of the green. Again, he was in left rough, deep rough, and he's left of the green, and he's going to have a difficult shot coming back.
Well, way over and off target and off line. 18th and Lee Elder. This for a 3. Just tiptoed past the hole. So Elder finishes 9 over. 78. Pertzer again in the rough. There's Weiskopf now with an awkward stance. You can see at the 16th he's out of the bunker. Ball looks to be well below his feet. Oh, good shot. Been only 4 birdies here at the 16th hole today. And Frank Hannigan, Weiskopf's record in recent years has been pretty impressive in the Open without actually winning one.
Yeah, it's really extraordinary, Peter. He was second in 76, third in 77, fourth in 78, and here he is again today. But no cup.
No, well, Pertzer. And how about this for a difficult shot? Wind left to right. Flag on the left side of the green. All the bunker to go across, and only 3 bogeys here at the 17th hole today. 3 birdies. Gary Player had one of those, and there he plays it safely and sensibly onto the green and has shortish putt, but it'll be for a par. Jerry Pate going across to his ball. Pate 2 over, now level with Gary Player, and Player could well, who knows, finish second. David Graham. Good score for David, although he missed that short putt on the last hole. Jack Nicklaus finishing with almost a vintage round for Nicklaus, but as he said himself, he just couldn't get it together early enough. Now Irwin for a 3 at the 16th. Well, a little wayward, a bit head up, a bit quick. But he really has shown tremendous composure, I think, this man today. Of course, he's very experienced and one of the great players in the world. He's battled away. He hasn't been happy with his driving, but he's there, leading the field by 4. Some scores of other players. These, of course, have all completed their 72 holes. Par here at 284, so you see Lon Hinkle plus 20, 304. Weiskopf for a par at the 16th. And with Gary Player already in the clubhouse, another sparkling performance from him, really. He's in there at 2 over. He's setting them a target, certainly a target for second place, and who knows what may happen over these last couple of holes. Nice putt, well struck. Just grazed the hole. A lot of tension and a lot of people here, Frank, and play, I suppose, from the USGA point of view. Do you look upon this as a rather slowish round, or do you take that all into account when you time these things? Meanwhile, we'll just have a look at Pate now playing his third shot at the 17th, scuttling it through the edge, and it's a pretty good effort from there. How has the USGA stand been on slow play here in this championship, Frank, this week?
Oh, as far as I'm concerned, Peter, play is too slow. It's just too slow.
Weiskopf booms it in, but that's a stroke. Drop to par. 2 over now, tied with Pate and Player. But Player already completed his 4 rounds. And no doubt, sitting quietly somewhere watching the telly. Owen at the 16th. Is 4. Yes. Great composure. Another par tucked away. These two started playing at 2:40 today. And it's now getting on, well, it's gone 20 past 6 here, so I suppose it's about 25 past, getting on for 25 past 11 for you at home as you watch Tom Pertzer for a par. And still a bit to do. Pertzer 5 over, started the day at 1 over. Now Jerry Pate started the day 1 over, now 2 over, so 1 over for today. Pate, a very smooth putter. And there you see it. What's that, about 9 feet, maybe 10? Certainly 10. This for a par 4. This to remain tied for second place. Touched it, and wriggled away, and look at the speed. 17th tee now, Hale Irwin, leader by 5. Little dog leg, slight dog leg, you see the fairway curving round, 431 yards. Fairway dips down. If you drive it too far, there's a bunker on the right, and then you drop down to the green, below the fairway down at the bottom of the hill.
That ball's way to the right in the rough. Very, very short.
And he's behind a tree, but a little tree on the edge of the fairway. And I don't know, our camera angles generally can be rather confusing. And we'll have to wait and see whether, in fact, that tree will influence Irwin's second in any way. Weiskopf. Five behind.
That ball's also to the right, well to the right in the rough.
He's some 40 yards past Hale Irwin. We're going to leave you, but we shall be back to show you the climax of this year's Open Championship at Inverness.
We're back at the U.S. Open, Inverness Club, Toledo, Ohio. Walking home to victory, it appears, with Hale Irwin. He has a 5-shot lead over Tom Weiskopf and Gary Player, who had 68 today. 6 shots over Jerry Pate. Interesting that those 4 men on the top of the board have all won major championships. Irwin won the U.S. Open 5 years ago. We have former British Open champion in Tom Weiskopf, Jerry Pate, a former U.S. Amateur and U.S. Open champion, and Gary Player, who's won 3 British Opens, 3 Masters, 2 PGAs, and 1 U.S. Open. So the great golfers have come to the fore at the conclusion of this tournament on a great golf course. So it's about the way you would figure it to be.
Well, if there were a question in anyone's mind about Inverness and whether it was too old or too short or too little or too something, it certainly has stood up, Jim, against the best players that we have.
We're live right now to the United States and to Great Britain, and for those of you in America who have tuned in for ABC's World News Tonight Sunday, we're going to be running long, and we may well run all the way through the news assigned time tonight to bring home not only Jerry Pate here, who is now playing the 18th hole and has put his tee shot right in the middle of the fairway on this short par 4, but also, of course, to bring home the winner, Hale Irwin. There you see the wind blowing right into the face of the golfers as they come down the 18th fairway. Here's Tom Purtzer, who it appeared hurt his elbow coming out of the rough on the last hole. Purtzer, who is 5 over par for the tournament, started off so marvelously with 4 threes, but came off the tracks before he finished the front 9.
This is the first time they've played this hole into the wind, Jim. It's usually been left to right. You see a lot of players up in that right rough.
Everybody seemed to like that one. Here it comes. Going to the left side, well, right in the middle of the fairway, really considerably short, however, of where his playing companion, Jerry Pate, went.
Well, I hope he didn't hurt his arm, because you can do that very easily when you know that tall rough.
Well, here's the man with the 5-shot lead, Bob Rosberg. Does he have a major problem?
Well, he doesn't have a major problem because he's got a 5-shot lead. If he had a 1-shot lead, he'd really be in trouble because he's got a shot of about 220 yards out of a bad lie, and he's got the creek down here to worry about. He's got the kind of a lie that the ball might go a long ways, and then again it might not. It's a very strange kind of a lie. But the wind is almost into him, and this hole has really played long today.
The green is below him there, down where that crowd is, way down. See, there's the brow of the hill, and way past there's a creek in the green.
He's actually playing blind, Jim. He can't see the green.
Right.
He's hit a good, solid shot. A little left, but okay, kicking short of the bunker, I believe.
No, it went in, Bob.
Got in the bunker?
Yeah.
Yep. So he's in the bunker, but with a 5-shot lead. One would hardly think he has anything to worry about. Again, on the leaderboard, we have Hale Irwin and Tom Weiskopf, Gary Player, Jerry Pate, Bill Rogers, Larry Nelson, Tom Purtzer, David Graham, Jack Nicklaus at 68 today. Keith Fergus came in at +7. Ben Crenshaw and Andy North, the defending champion, at +9. Along with Lee Elder and Cal Peete. Now, Weiskopf.
He hit a real good shot right at the middle of the green.
Fine shot, but again, going too long. It has almost all day long for him.
He has really hit some shots that I'm sure look good to him, and for one reason or another, they just have not been the right club.
Again, consider his record in the Open. It really has been unfortunate as you look at some other scores of people who have finished. 1973, he finished 3rd. And then in the last 3 years, he's tied for 2nd, tied for 3rd, tied for 4th. Here at the moment, he is tied for 2nd again with Gary Player. In the Masters, he's finished 2nd 4 times and never won it. Tom Weiskopf, one of the great players of the world. It has not been a question of him folding on the final holes. There's always, as you said, Hale Irwin was saying about his last year of play generally, there's always just been somebody just in front of him.
Well, Tom had a real good chance to win at Oakmont. Johnny Miller shot 63 and, of course, wiped everybody out. Just things like that do happen.
As we continue, so the scores, there's John Cook, the U.S. Amateur champion. Arnold Palmer, Connecticut's John Gentile. Westport, Connecticut, I might add. We're going to be not far from there for the U.S. Women's Open Championship in a few weeks. And, David, I sincerely hope we're finally going to get in that round at Aspetuck.
We certainly are, and that's a good golf course there. They're playing the Ladies Open on. He's got a
Brooklawn.
pretty long shot here, Jim, and the wind is blowing pretty hard. It's hard to feel down in the area, and if that ball doesn't get down, well, it's way short.
Oh, dear.
Way short.
That arm must be hurting him, don't you think?
Well,
Of course, he is into the wind.
Yeah, but it could be with an iron shot. Off the tee with the wood, you're not going to get the same shock, so you'll go ahead and take a freer swing.
Now Jerry Pate, who is in 4th place all by himself at 3 over par. Yeah, now back to Hale Irwin, excuse me. Jerry Pate will be next on 18, but we are watching the leader with his difficult 3rd shot on the par 4 17th.
Again, this is one of those very, very difficult trap shots, I think. It's just a little bit longer than you're used to playing, especially here with the small greens. You have to carry the ball a long way over that trap. Caught it thin. Could hear it.
Dear.
Caught it thin.
Way over in 3. Well, he could make a double bogey 6 here. Could happen very easily. Assuming Weisskopf made a par, he would still have a 3-stroke lead. But the hole isn't over. Let's just
let's
find
see
out how
where
bad
he
it
is
does get
first.
for him. That's right.
That's what I mean. That's why the shot before that he played at the 15th hole, I believe it was such a marvelous golf shot at a time when he really needed to hit a golf shot.
Of course, this bunker shot was a lot more difficult, wasn't it? On tape a moment ago, here's Jerry Pate hitting his shot to the 18th green. Almost ready to finish up his 72 holes in the 1979 U.S. Open.
Good looking shot. What's this?
Watch it come down the green. Yeah, watch it. Slopes down from the clubhouse so sharply. Is it going to stop? Not yet. Well, it's going to stop now. Not yet. Well, now. Okay. So Jerry Pate will have a fair attempt at a birdie on the difficult 18th green. We had thought it might come down to a one-shot finish here. If it had, it would have really been something. As of the moment, it still looks like Hale Irwin should be an easy winner, but now when we get to that point we always get to in the Open, it seems, where the security people are taking down the ropes and they're saying move back over there, and we're trying to find where the leader is. And here is Tom Purtzer with his 3rd shot on 18.
With very little chance to get very close.
Yes.
Well, that's about all.
All you could do. Yesterday there were 10 rounds under par here, only 4 today.
Yeah, that just shows you what a little breeze will do. It's always harder to score in the wind as opposed to the rain. Yes, and as Frank Hannigan explained earlier, the official is pointing to the exact place. As a matter of fact, it looks like Sandy again. Sandy's doing a lot of pointing at where the ball hits the ground today.
Yeah.
You have to redrop it because not that it rolled 2 club lengths that time, but it rolled nearer the hole. Is that right, Frank?
Yeah, that's exactly right, David. The ball, when dropped, must be redropped if either it rolls more than 2 club lengths or closer to the hole. In this case, it rolled closer to the hole.
Okay. Ball's in play.
That was the voice of Sandy Tatum, the president of the USGA, making the ruling. He said the ball is in play, and so it will be. Now the leader lying 3 on the par 4 hole.
Well, he's not as bad off as I first assumed he may be over that green. Obviously, he's not as bad off as Rossi pointed out. He has a 5-shot lead.
Yes. Still want to make sure of it. Again, if you've just tuned in for the news on ABC, doesn't look like you'll be getting much of it, if any, tonight, because of the fact that this major event in the world of sport, the United States Open Golf Championship, a national occasion really, along with the sports event, has run a bit long, as they tend to do when anybody plays golf nowadays.
Well, they had a couple of penalties this week for slow play.
Yes. Hitting into the side of the bank and now trickling down. But it's still going. And now he lies 4. Now Tom Weisskopf. He lies only 2.
Now, let's just let our minds work here a little bit. If this man should happen to chip this in,
whoops,
and then birdie the last hole, and Hale makes 6, that would mean he'd have to par the last hole to win by a shot.
That's right.
So it's even though one day you may look back and see that Hale Irwin won the U.S. Open by 2 or 3 shots, it sounded like an easy win, but strange things can happen as Jerry Pate gets ready for his birdie putt at 18, which would put him in a tie with Weiskopf and Gary Player at 2 over par.
That's right. And he's done it. Jerry Pate started the day at 1 over. He will end at 2 over, a fine round of 1 over par, 72. Now Weiskopf with his 3rd shot on 17. Oh, needed a good deal more of that. So every time even a small opportunity opens up, it seems to go a glimmering for him. It's been a long way around. These men are tired, aren't they, David?
Oh, the pressure, sure. When you are under this much pressure, you're concentrating for 4 hours, 4.5 hours, or whatever, and of course you're always a little more tired if you don't win.
Yes.
Hale will be dancing at the Savoy tonight, I believe.
Tom Purtzer for a bogey 5 now. He's 5 over for the tournament. Needs this to go 6 over. It will not drop. Yes, it will drop him out of a tie with David Graham, even if he makes it.
But he will finish ahead of Jack Nicklaus, Keith Fergus, and
yep. If he misses, he'll drop down into a tie with Jack Nicklaus and Keith Fergus. Nicklaus, who shot 68 today. Nicklaus, of course, will be defending his British Open title soon, and we will be there. ABC Sports will be at the U.S. Women's Open, British Open, PGA, Ryder Cup, U.S. Amateur. Okay?
Still a good finish, Jim. Probably finish up high enough where he won't have to qualify next year, and maybe even an invitation to Augusta, which is looking at the positive side of it.
5 over par, 76 for Purtzer. Now back to Irwin with his 5th shot on the par 4 17th hole. Tournament leader by 5. And he should tap that in for a 2 over par 6. That will cut his lead at least over Gary Player to 3 shots. Tom Weiskopf still must make his par.
And Jerry Pate, too.
And Jerry Pate, right. Gary Player and Jerry Pate, both of whom are in. Jerry Pate, remember, had a 72 today to add to earlier rounds of 71, 74, and 69. Tom Purtzer opened with 70, then had 69, 75 yesterday, and 76 today. Tom Weiskopf needs this for par, as we said. He's had rounds of 71, 74, a fine 67 yesterday. On today's round, however, he's 3 over. If he misses this, he'll be 4.
Big swing right to left on this putt. And fast.
Miss it, he did. 4 over on today's round, and now 3 over for the tournament. That'll be when he puts this in the hole. There it is. Tom Weiskopf now with 1 hole left to play, and he has no chance at all. The only chance any of the others have would be for Hale Irwin to make 7 on the last hole. It's a par 4, 354 yards long, short. It has its difficulties, however, this hole. This will be the one on which Hale Irwin must make sure. 354-yard par 4. You see there are plenty of bunkers both on the tee shot and around the green. On the right side, there's a hillock that a lot of them try to go over that bunker, over the hillock, and kick down into the fairway. Very often, it doesn't happen that way. Then up on the green, of course, where the green that slopes down. There's a gully on the right that's terrible.
Not only terrible, you just can't make a par from there.
Yeah. Pin placement a little bit better if you get up in there today because it's all the way on the other side of the green, but still, terrifying shot. You don't want to be to the right on your second shot. The entire gallery now gathering around 18, ringing the entire hole.
This hole was lengthened a little bit because they felt, I assume the USGA felt it was a little short, but the hole still plays quite long because a lot of the players, you lay up with a 3-wood or a 1-iron now. Against the wind, they're using drivers today, some of them.
Well, the big roar you heard was the gallery on 18 just finding out that Irwin made a 6 on 17. They say, whoops.
Yeah, but they haven't put Weiskopf's score up yet, so they're not sure what Tom has done.
Well, of course, we still know that Pate and Player have held steady because they're sitting in the clubhouse, probably watching all this. Tom Weiskopf has hit what looks like a good shot. Yeah, it's right in the middle of the fairway, but quite short. Quite short.
Back where Pertzer was on his drive.
Yeah.
But he hit an iron.
Yes. Now, let's see what Hale Irwin elects to do. If he makes another 6, he will still win the United States Open. If he makes 7, we all come back tomorrow for a 3-way playoff with Gary Player and Jerry Pate.
If he makes 7, he won't be here. He'll do injury, bodily harm to himself.
Well,
he'll take a driver. Looks like it.
That ball's to the right.
Somebody said that ball's to the right. That was Bob Rosberg. It is sure in the deep rough. However,
almost got back.
Don't panic, Hale Irwin fans. He's not that far from the green. Most unlikely he would make 7. Not impossible, but most unlikely.
Well, the side of that hill has been pretty well reaped this week with all the guys up there. Divots have been flying off the side of that hill all week, and they've hit a lot of good shots from there. So it's not too deep there.
Bill Fleming's down with Jerry Pate right now. Let's have a word with him.
Win this tournament. Jerry Pate is just saying, can you believe I made 2 double bogeys? Continue the thought.
Well, I figured even par would win the golf tournament. 1 under for sure would win it, and I hadn't had any double bogeys all week, and I consider myself one of the better drivers on the tour, and I drove the ball terrible today. And of course, you drive it bad in a U.S. Open golf course, you get in trouble. You're going to make double bogeys.
What did you think when you saw that 1 go up by Irwin's name just moments ago with that double bogey at 17?
Well, I think, Bill, it's almost too far out of reach, but you know, you never can tell. He'd have to make 7 here, and I think he's in the deep rough, but I don't think there's any possibility. But the thing is, you know, I just feel bad about the way I played. You know, of course, so does Gary Player and Weiskopf and Pertzer and everybody else that had a chance. But you know, I felt all day I had a chance to win the golf tournament, and double bogeyed 5, and then I double bogeyed 9. I just got in too big a hurry, didn't hit my drives the way I wanted to, and wasn't using my legs, and that's the name of the game, driving it.
Got in too big of a hurry? What do you mean?
Well, I just I didn't really hit a bad drive on 5. It was in the edge of the rough. I hit a poor second shot, but 9. Tom and Pertzer and I played down number 17 fairway today on number 8, and
we wondered about that.
Well, I was in good shape. I should have birdied there too. Hit a poor bunker shot, but we took a long time, and I rushed over to number 9 tee and didn't really get set. And I hit a poor drive. I hooked it left under the trees, so that cost me, and that's just there's no excuse for it. And
the margin for error is very slim in a U.S. Open, right, Jerry?
It sure is, and you can't say enough for driving the ball in the fairway. You know, putting is great. I putted well, and putting is great to be a good putter, but you must drive it in the fairway in a U.S. Open.
There's always next year. Let's go back to Jim.
In other words, of all the words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these: it might have been. Weiskopf, it might have been for him.
So many times through his career, too. He's just one of the hard luck players, it seems, in winning as many tournaments as he's had a chance to win. He's waiting for the couple of marshals up there to move over a little bit. Now, again, this is a shot that you haven't seen much this week. The hole is playing against the wind, so it's a club or 2 longer than the players are used to playing. Saw Pertzer a moment ago leave it way short of the green.
Birdie here, of course, would put him into that 3-way tie again for second place, it appears. Yep, bunker. Bunker for Tom Weiskopf.
Well, that's what happens.
Now, the man of the hour, Hale Irwin.
Doesn't seem like too long ago, Jim. We saw him hit that wonderful 2-iron at the 18th hole at Wingfoot, or the 72nd hole.
That's right.
Much different shot, but the prize is the same.
staggering a bit more this time. He had a bogey on, he was cruising along 4 under par, then had a bogey on 14, and then they double bogey 6 on 17. Now in the rough, and that's
Well, this
coming
ball's
left.
way to the left.
Way left. Could be another bunker. Yes.
Yeah, but that's where you want to be. I mean,
Where you want to be?
Oh, well, if you're going to miss the green, I mean, if you make your mistake, you got to make it to the left. Now he's pitching out of the trap, up against the hill there. Absolutely, he couldn't miss the ball to the right. And
well, of course, that's what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't mean he shot at the trap.
No, no,
I mean,
no.
A player would never do. Well, I hear that from different people.
Yeah.
Talking about, well, do you shoot at a trap? Well, that's not near as big as the green is.
No, obviously. What Dave was talking about is that if you go to the right of this green, you're in some long grass down in a gully, and it's very difficult even to hold the green when you're coming up. Now the tribute, the man who it appears is about to become the champion. They can't give him that full-blooded roar yet, though, you know, because, but they're trying.
He just checked that scoreboard to be sure how he stood, though.
Yep. Time enough for the great roar when he finishes up this hole.
Well, he hasn't won in a long time, and I'm sure this will make up for all the times that he came very near to winning and didn't get there. He couldn't pick a better tournament to win than the United States Open.
He didn't look like a winner on the first day here. He had 74, 3 over par. He was down there with an awful lot of people at that point. Came back on Friday, however, with a 68. Yesterday, shaved another stroke off, 67. Today, well, he's 3 over par at the moment, but he was steady when he had to be. And now must merely get that ball out of the bunker and onto the green, and it's going to be all over, but Tom Weiskopf will play first.
This becomes an important hole for Larry Nelson and Bill Rogers. If Tom should happen to bogey this hole, that moves them up a little bit, Jim.
Yeah, he would drop down into a tie with them should he make a bogey 5. This his third shot. And again, he looks over. There's a little bit of noise to the left of the green. Now total silence. Must be, well, they said the gallery was almost 21,000. Just the wind.
Hurry.
Oh, dear. Left it in the long grass off the edge of the green. It's a tough way to finish when you had hoped to win the U.S. Open.
Well, and he had a good shot at 17. Yep. Just happened to go through the green, and then a pretty nice little chip back and misses the putt. And maybe the weight there with waiting for the crowd to settle down a little bit broke his rhythm a little bit.
The apparent champion-to-be, Hale Irwin, now out of the bunker. He's coming up at the hole. It's very close to the edge of the green. There you see it. There it is. There it is.
Good shot. And I'll tell you, he's very glad that's over. Now maybe we can see a little grin or think about his acceptance speech or whatever.
Yep, he has 3 putts from there for a victory. Tom Weiskopf, meanwhile, now has a tough shot to make sure of a bogey 5.
Well, you'll get one of your last chances to look. He's taking a putter out of there.
Should he make 6 here, he would drop down past Bill Rogers and Larry Nelson into a tie with David Graham.
I'm interested to see what he does with this putting out of the tall grass, because this is so fast going that way down the hill.
Yeah, it really is.
If you hit it hard enough to get out of the tall grass, or you jump it, heaven forbid that you jump that grass, you'll knock it through the green on the other side.
Hale Irwin will win. Gary Player and Jerry Pate will tie for 2nd and 3rd.
He's played a marvelous
Boy,
shot.
he did. And still takes that break. He'll have that one for the bogey 5 to finish in a tie for 4th place with Bill Rogers and Larry Nelson. It's Irwin to be the winner. The coronation about to come. Again, Gary Player and Jerry Pate tying for 2nd and 3rd.
Tom will go ahead and putt out here.
Yeah.
He talked to Hale about it already, and just go ahead and get finished. That's the general etiquette that you'll see.
So the winner can finish last and they can give him the roar and they don't have to wait for someone else to hold out.
Well,
or to be
yeah.
impolite to somebody else holding
Right.
out.
Now, I've seen this putt stay on the right lip, and then Nicklaus's putt, this very same putt, broke out to the left. So it hasn't been one that's consistent. Inside the right of the hole seems to be the line.
Okay.
Got it.
So the bogey 5 puts Tom Weisskopf in a final tie for 4th place with Bill Rogers and Larry Nelson. David Graham will be 7th, Tom Purtzer 8th, Jack Nicklaus and Keith Fergus in a tie for 9th and 10th.
Good finish for Keith. Young man from Houston, another University of Houston player. Crenshaw just back there.
Now Hale Irwin, lying 3. Be nice if he finished up with a par, wouldn't it?
Sure would.
If he makes this, he wins by 3 strokes. Has a round of 74.
Nope.
Nope. The little one to come back now. Even if he misses this one, he still wins. Murmur from the crowd. They want to cheer the winner. They're getting impatient now.
Yeah. Well, I think Inverness wins because this will be 284.
That's
no
right.
one broke par.
A very good point. A round of 75. But he's the winner. Hale Irwin with his 2nd United States Open Golf Championship at the age of 34, his first victory of any kind since San Antonio in 1977. The congratulations from Sandy Tatum, the president of the USGA,